Senator J.D. Vance. Some people are suggesting now that the former president may be feeling some buyer's remorse, given Senator Vance's unfavorable numbers. What do you think of the pick?
I think it was a great pick. I think J.D. Vance's life story is going to resonate with a lot of Americans. You know, he is a true rags to riches story, someone who grew up in poverty, who lifted himself up by working hard, by getting a good education. You know, he volunteered for the Marine Corps, fought in Iraq. He's been a successful businessman and now senator. I mean, it truly is an American dream story, and I think it'll resonate with a lot of voters. I think he'll be an asset for us. I think it's also going to be interesting to see how having the first millennial on a national ticket plays out. You know, I think there's an opportunity there for a lot of young people who maybe aren't engaged politically to get excited about having a young person on the ticket. So I think, you know, again, the early days here, the media establishment is doing everything they can to tear down J.D. Vance. But I think as the American people get to know him, he's going to be a huge asset for the ticket and for Republicans running across the ballot.
I don't need to tell you that House Republicans have a historically slim majority right now in the House. So big picture, what are the races we should be watching in order for House Republicans to build a more significant majority?
Well, the challenge is there aren't that many races up for grabs. I mean, because both parties have gotten a lot better at redistricting, at drawing safe seats for themselves. Out of 435 seats in Congress, only 35 seats were decided by 5 points or less. So the battlefield is much smaller than it's ever been. The number of seats that are up for grabs is much smaller than it's ever been. And so every single one of these races is going to be, I describe it as a knife fight in a dark alley. I mean, every one of them is going to come down to the wire. Every one of them is going to depend on having really strong candidates, really good ground game, really effective messaging. And I believe we've got the right candidates. We are focused on issues the American people care about. And if we raise the resources to get our message out, we're going to be very successful. I'm confident we're going to grow our majority. It just remains to be seen how many seats we can pick up.
Traditionally, the economy is a huge factor in terms of how people vote in an upcoming election. Will inflation be a deciding issue? What are other hot issues for your candidates as they go into this critical election season?
Well, American people are concerned because things cost more, whether you're talking gas, groceries, healthcare, all these things, the costs have gone up, and it's a direct result of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's policies. Whether it's choking off our access to energy, which has driven up energy costs, whether it's the out of control spending. You know, Kamala Harris cast a deciding vote on the IRA Act, which threw gasoline on the fire of inflation. Their policies have made American people less prosperous, and so that's going to be a key issue. I also think the open border. You know, Kamala Harris is trying to deny it now, but she was the border czar. She was in charge of the border for the administration, and the border has been a disaster. Every community in America is seeing the effects of it, whether it's crime, fentanyl, and the American people are very concerned about it. And so I think the chaos, the crime, the cost of things, that's what's on the voters' minds. And Kamala Harris's policies have caused these problems in America, and the Republicans have the solutions. And so I think that's what the election will turn on.
Mr. Chairman, we saw over the weekend a rocket attack by Hezbollah that left at least 12 Israeli children dead. Now, Israel has sent counterstrikes into Lebanon. Do you think that these terror groups will continue to increase their attacks? And could we be looking at a larger scale war?
Well, I worry about that. You know, and the reason we're seeing this disruptions in the Middle East is because our commander in chief has projected weakness. When Donald Trump was president, we didn't see this kind of chaos, because Iran feared Donald Trump, because Donald Trump choked off their access to cash. This president, President Biden, and his vice president, Kamala Harris, gave Iran millions of dollars, billions of dollars. Iran is now driving all of this violence through their proxies, and having a weak commander-in-chief, or maybe a commander-in-chief who's not even mentally there, has created an opening for this violence. And so if we can't show strength, Kamala Harris disgracefully not showing up for the speech of Prime Minister Netanyahu in front of Congress is another signal to Iran. If we continue to signal weakness, we're going to continue to get more violence. And it's very dangerous for Israel. It's very dangerous for the world.
Let's talk about Prime Minister Netanyahu's visit to the U.S. for an address to Congress, where he spoke about the commitment to defeating Hamas. Throughout the day, protesters here in Washington wreaked havoc on Union Station, defacing monuments, even burning American flags. What did you make of that display?
It was disgusting. I think any American watching that was sickened by it. I think it's a shame that it took Kamala Harris 24 hours to condemn the violence. She's terrified of her base. And so she's, every other American politician, including myself, came out immediately and condemned what we were seeing. Look, Americans have a right to burn the flag if they want to burn the flag, but you can't rip down a flag off a government building and burn it. That's a violation of a whole lot of laws. Those people need to be prosecuted. It was a disgusting display, but quite a difference. You've got Republicans in the House chamber giving 55 standing ovations to the prime minister, while Democrats on the outside were putting graffiti on monuments and burning the American flag. It's quite a display of where our values are.
Are you surprised the Democratic Party in this country has been so divided over Netanyahu and Israel? Yes,
to me it's good and evil. The terrorists are evil and they need to be eradicated. And I just don't see how you can equivocate and make excuses for the slaughter and murder and rape of innocent Israeli citizens. Israel has a right to defend itself. It's in the U.S. interest and Israel's interest to eradicate Hamas and all the terrorists. And we need to be a strong partner and help them do that. So it makes no sense that some politicians on the left, like Kamala Harris, are equivocating and making excuses.
As you know, the Biden administration has been seeking a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas before Election Day. What do you think of those efforts by the president and his team?
Well, I pray they're successful, but I think when you start by lecturing Israel, by tying the hands of Israel about what they can and can't do to eradicate the terrorists, I think that's counterproductive. And so I think the way that Biden and Harris have gone about this has been wrong. I think you've got to show strength. You've got to show no daylight between the U.S. and Israel. You've got to allow Israel to do what they need to do as quickly as they can do it. I think by dragging it out, by putting conditions on aid to Israel, all the things that the Biden-Harris administration has done, I think it makes it much more difficult to get to a peaceful resolution. I think it's also important to keep reminding the American people that we still have American hostages being held by these terrorists. Mm-hmm. We need to demand those hostages are released, and we need to do it quickly.
Once President Biden stepped aside in the 2024 race, some Republicans pivoted to saying, hey, if he's not in good enough health to run for another term, is he well enough to stay in office? Should he resign now?
I think, one of the biggest cover-ups in American political history the last couple of years is every Democrat in Congress has known, just like every Republican has known, that Joe Biden is mentally diminished. And it's quickly getting worse and worse. We've all known it for years, but the Democrats have covered it up. And anytime one of us brings it up, they gaslight us and say it's not true. It's a cheap fake. But this got exposed during the presidential debate. America got to see that our commander in chief is mentally diminished. And now the question is, if he's not capable of running for re-election, how is he capable to be in charge of our nuclear codes? How is he capable to lead this country? So I think it's in the best interest of America that he step aside.
I get this question all the time. I'm sure you do as well. Who do you think's been running the country?
I don't know, but it's a good question, and the American people ought to be asking that question. I think since the debate, they are asking that question. I think we ought to ask Kamala Harris. You have been part of one of the greatest political cover-ups in American history. You have covered up the fact that Joe Biden is diminished. You need to explain that, and let's ask Kamala Harris, who's been running this place.
He is the chairman of the National Republican Congressional Committee, Richard Hudson of the great state of North Carolina. Mr. Chairman, thanks so much for your time. Safe travels over recess.
This is News
Thank you, Mike. Great to be with you.
At 1019, 941, and newstalkstl.com.
I'm Joel Clark, a Select Quote agent, with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and he can't take it with him. Well, I went to work and found Ray, who's 40 and takes medication to control his high blood pressure, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for only $19 a month. That's way more coverage for a lot less than what he was paying. If SelectQuote didn't shop for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote and to find out how much you can save, call 1-800-403-5050. That's 1-800-403-5050. 1-800-403-5050. Or go to SelectQuote.com. Since 1985, we shop, you save.
Get full details on the example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your premium could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Feeling congested? At Navage, we know life is better when you can breathe freely. Congestion shouldn't ruin your summer. That's why people just like you turn to Navage, a revolutionary and easy way to help clear nasal passages. Using gentle suction, Navage removes allergens, dust, and mucus in just 30 seconds. It's fast, gentle, and incredibly effective. Try Navage and get on your way to a better day. Get Navage at Walmart, Walgreens, Sam's Club, CVS, Rite Aid, Target, or online at Navage.com. Navage. Breathe better, fast.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated in the best hearing aids of 2024 by USA Today, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, just $189.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aids.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 500,000 happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AU.
On the next.
Larry Connors, USA.
Hans von Spakovsky. Can Biden give all the money he got to Harris? Is that legal?
Larry Connors, USA. Now, weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
Old man winter in the rearview mirror. Warmer weather here. Time to call Hanson's Tree Service, 636-379-1830, 24/7 at hansonstree.com. This is the perfect time to spruce up and beautify your landscape beds. When you purchase organic mulch in bulk from Hanson's, you save on price, time, and incredibly convenient. Tons of commercial and residential tree care services as well. Grinding and land clearing, plant health care, and more. 636-379-1830, hansonstree.com, hansonstree.com.
Oh, Adam, you are so romantic. And I love the kitchen you found with all these great crumbs.
Yeah, baby, only the finest crumbs in the kitchen for my favorite aunt. Oh no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They always kill the mood.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. We'd love to help you out. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
Hey, want to amaze your friends when they visit? They will be impressed when they see your custom-made drapes, blinds, or shutters. Michael Proctor will personally help you pick out the correct colors to truly showcase your home. Then he will actually design and personally install everything. No overhead markup. That's going to save you a lot of money on drapes, blinds, or shutters.
Call for an appointment at your home. Spell Proctor like doctor.
With so much happening.
I think it was President Reagan said, we're from the government. We're here to help.
So much to talk about.
Our Education Secretary flubbing one of Ronald Reagan's iconic lines.
9 most terrifying words in the English language are, I'm from the government and I'm here to help.
You never want to miss a moment.
There's nothing about this that shows anything good about Hamas.
On air, online, and always on your smart device.
The vast majority of those that were taken captive on that day are still there.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Harley Davidson, Mars, Johnson & Johnson, the Carnegies.
He took that company where no one thought it would go.
And Anheuser-Busch.
What more could you want?
The Monarchs of Money are back. American Dynasty. New season streaming now, only on Fox Nation. Sign up at foxnation.com.
Look at
What's happening from the Fox News Rundown?
Good morning. It's Monday, July 29th. This is the Fox News Rundown. I'm Sue Guzman. Congress this week zeroes in on the assassination attempt on former President Trump in Pennsylvania. We have more from Fox's Gernal Scott.
2 Senate committees, Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs, as well as Judiciary, will hear Tuesday from acting U.S. Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe Jr. On Fox News Sunday, Wisconsin GOP Senator Ron Johnson says he'll be there and plans to try to create a timeline. To do that,
we need all their communications, both written, emails, text, but also we need voice recordings of any verbal communication.
Senator Johnson says acting Director Rowe told him he would be forthcoming at this hearing about what led to shots fired at former President Trump that killed 1 and wounded 2 other rally attendees. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Based on the Democratic Party's rules, this week likely begins the process of formally cementing Vice President Kamala Harris as the party's 2024 presidential nominee. Fox's Jessica Rosenthal explains.
The Democratic National Committee said last week that per their rules, potential presidential candidates would have until this past Saturday to file and would have by this Tuesday to prove that they're qualified to run. They needed to have the support of 300 delegates with no more than 50 from one state. So the DNC rules then state if only one candidate declared an intent to seek the nomination and that candidate meets all the legal requirements, voting would begin Thursday, August 1st. Virtually. The DNC expects Harris would pick a running mate by August 7th, ahead of the Democrats' convention, which starts August 19th. Jessica Rosenthal, Fox News.
President Biden reportedly planning to introduce a Supreme Court reform proposal.
This would mark a major shift for President Biden. As a former chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, he has long resisted calls to reform the Supreme Court. But over the last few years, the president has become increasingly critical of several of the court's rulings, like overturning Roe v. Wade and gutting affirmative action in college admissions. The president's proposal would include establishing term limits for justices and an enforceable code of justice. He's also considering whether to introduce a constitutional amendment limiting immunity for presidents. This comes after the High Court ruled earlier this month that former President Trump cannot be criminally prosecuted for official acts he took while in office.
And that's Fox's Madeline Rivera. I'm Sue Guzman on the Fox News Rundown.
This is the Fox News Rundown.
STL at 1019, Core 1, and NewsTalkSTL.com. The Vic Porcelli Show.
We're closing in on primary election day. We'll talk to Rob Bluey from the Heritage Foundation in the Daily Signal at 9:05 Monday, and maybe we'll finally get around to talking about Project 2025.
Weekday mornings at 9 on Newstalk STL.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
Hey, it's Vic. Are you worried about rising taxes? Well, you're not alone. With government spending outpacing revenue, many Americans fear a tax hike is on the horizon. But here's the good news. You have options. Chris Cooper of Serenity Wealth Management specializes in tax-efficient strategies for income planning, legacy, and growth. Chris knows your money will go to one of 3 places: the government, healthcare, or your family and charities. Shouldn't your loved ones come first? Don't let Uncle Sam be your biggest beneficiary. Take control of your financial future today. Visit SerenityNowTax.com for your free copy of Chris's book, The New Holistic Retirement. Serenity Wealth Management, because you deserve peace of mind in retirement. Request your free book today at SerenityNowTax.com. That's SerenityNowTax.com to get your free copy of The New Holistic Retirement. That's SerenityNowTax.com. Serenity Now! With Chris Cooper.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors.
Re-elect State Representative Tony Lavasco. Tony Lavasco eliminated licenses for home-based businesses. Tony Lavasco, rated 100% by the American Conservative Union. Tony Lavasco, the only candidate endorsed by Missouri Right to Life and by the NRA. Tony Lavasco, the only choice for small, limited government. On August 6th, vote Liberty. Vote Lavasco.
I'm Tony Lavasco, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Citizens for Lovasco. Dan Rakers, Treasurer.
The O'Reilly Update, brought to you by Seavers JCB. Visit them at their St. Peter's location.
Bill O'Reilly here, and I'm warming up. Stand by for the O'Reilly Update Morning Edition. But first, are you feeling the impact of the recent changes in the timeshare industry? My friends at Lone Star Transfer are the only company I trust to help you. For more than a decade, they have successfully helped over 20,000 owners get out of their timeshare with an A+ rating at the Better Business Bureau. Customer service is their priority. For a free consultation and a guaranteed solution, 855-551-7066 or go to LoneStarTransfer.com. On this Monday, very few Americans really understand how the federal government works. But I'm here to tell you that deal making is the key to politics in the United States. Donald Trump was, in my opinion, successful in his first 4 years because he made pretty good deals economically that rose the real wages for working Americans, up about 7% under Trump. 4 years, that's substantial. And he kept inflation low. He did that by making deals with foreign countries, with corporations, deal. Okay, that's how he governs. So in our present situation, we had a number of deals made. So Joe Biden, the deal was, Joe, you get out or the Democratic Party is going to say bad things about you. That was basically breaking it all down. Okay. Then as soon as that was realized, and Jill Biden disappeared, by the way, when that deal was, because she knew she couldn't fight it. So Joe did what the Democrats normally do. As soon as that all happened, then you got Kamala. And that deal was in the works as well. So there you have it. We are a nation of deal makers, and we are on it to report to you each morning and afternoon. Now this. You can now watch new episodes of the No Spin News live on Samsung TV Plus. Tune in each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV for breaking news, honest analysis, and the best election coverage in America. Please join me, Bill O'Reilly, at the First TV, now available on Samsung TV Plus. Start watching today on your Samsung television, Galaxy devices, or the Samsung TV Plus mobile app. Check out the No Spin News each weeknight at 8 p.m. on the First TV, Samsung TV Plus. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Scattered storms in spots this morning, a heavy downpour or two with some lightning possible, but that rain fades into the midday and afternoon hours, opening the door to a long stretch of dangerous heat and humidity. Clouds thin this afternoon, temperatures jump into the low and mid 90s. Just a slight chance of a storm this evening and overnight. Most of that's east of us, down to 78 for the low. The worst of the heat runs from Tuesday through Thursday. Highs in the upper 90s, heat index as high as 112. Be careful. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 101.9 and 94.1. News Talk STL. Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Having your first cup of coffee? Mike's on his third. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
You know, here we are, just over a week away from the primary elections on the Missouri side of the News Talk STL listening area. Can you believe that has snuck up on us that fast? We got some big decisions to make in the Show Me State. And I know that when you look at the list of candidates for some of the statewide races, you say, who the heck is that? Okay, so throughout this week, I'm going to try to help you out with that and let you know who these candidates are, at least the serious candidates. There's a couple weirdos out there that aren't worth your time, but we're going to try to let you get to know them, at least our assessment of them. Hey, good morning. Hope you had a great weekend. Thanks for making News Talk STL part of this Monday to start things off. You know, on Friday's program, we had a really interesting conversation with Professor Zachary Marschall. He is the editor-in-chief with campusreform.org. obviously covering a lot of the violence and the protests and the anti-Semitism and frankly, just the anti-Americanism that we're seeing, including last week in Washington, D.C. And one common thread for a lot of these protesters, they're getting their marching orders and frankly, their how-to guides probably from their campus, probably from that radical professor or that radicalized group that has the blessing of the campus administrators. And we're seeing it spill over in really disgusting ways. And he gave us the update on that. And also we talked about what do we do about it? We've seen what happened on university campuses over the past, month and a half now. Obviously what we saw in Washington, D.C. over the last 3-4 days or so. Benjamin Netanyahu comes to the U.S., reminding us that they are our ally, basically. And we see violence, we see vandalism, we see theft of property, we see police officers attacked, we see all of this. And yes, there are political divides or ideological divides, but so much of this, it seems to me, is coming from a campus culture that is not just far left, but hatefully far left. Let's start with where so much of this fuel to this fire is coming from.
Yeah, it's so great to be here. You're absolutely right. What's been happening is that for the last 40 years or so, radical professors on college campuses have slowly and methodically taught college students how to hate the West and how to hate America. They've done this through textbooks, lectures, syllabi, and also the very gradual teaching and informing them that the end point of education is to be a social justice warrior and to be an activist. So over the last 2 generations, we have seen the point of education, according to these professors, slip further and further away and being replaced with this ideal for them, what is a utopia of protest and upending of American values. And we saw that right on display in Washington, D.C., when we saw a bunch of pro-Hamas protesters burn the American flag and threatening us saying Hamas is coming here. Israel, in their mind, is a symbol of the West and a symbol of America's power. That is wrong, but that is what they think. And that is why there is so much hatred and vitriol against Israel, against Netanyahu, and against Jews, whether they live in Israel or they live here.
But by the way, I just want to remind everybody that when you say pro-Hamas, literally pro-Hamas, there was literally, in addition to Palestinian flags, there were actual Hamas flags as well. So the left can't run from the accusation that they are pro-Hamas at this point. I just wanted to inject that into the conversation.
Good morning, Gabe Pfeiffer here. So I think something that a lot of people need to kind of get their heads around, and I want you to sort of to comment on, is the idea that this isn't the same as back in the day where, kids would go through a phase of a sort of a liberal phase. And when they, the conventional wisdom was, well, when reality hits them in the face and they go out into the real world and they get a job, they'll become more conservative. They'll realize how wrong they were, and they'll just look back on these college days as a silly little diversion. But things are different now, aren't they?
They absolutely are different. And, as much as, we can, not like the hippies of the 1960s or the protests against Vietnam in the 70s, the difference from then is that they were always protesting for something. They always had a cause they were trying to champion, as much as their politics were misguided. Now they're not protesting for anything. They're trying to tear things down. They're trying to tear down the American way of life and tear down American values. That's why it's so permanent, and that's why this is so different than before. But there are rays of hope, though, because as Campus Reform has been reporting, corporations and major employers are at the forefront of trying to reverse this trend. We are seeing law firms now do background checks on their applicants to make sure that the people applying to their firms didn't engage in anti-Israel protests while they were students. We're seeing companies now screen for, were you in a detention camp last spring? And we're now seeing at least 30% of employers turning down applicants once they realize they're engaging in this pro-Hamas activity.
Good morning, Professor. Sal Ponticus here. So from your perspective, what percentage would you say many of the protesters are being supported by outside forces that are not on the campuses?
I would say you can honestly make the case that's 100% because money has a way of finding, different cracks to fall into. We have been reporting that the Iranian regime is definitely the head of this monster. The Ayatollah said on X that he congratulates the college students for their protest against Israel. And we have seen nonprofits that get funded through George Soros, and then also the National Students for Justice in Palestine chapter, give money and give resources to different pro-Iranian or pro-Palestinian groups in the country that then are able to work with the students. That's kind of why they all were able to get tents so fast, and that's why all the tents were brand new and look the same.
We are visiting with Dr. Zach Marschall, Campus Reforms Editor-in-Chief, and we're going to put that website and social media information out here in just a couple of minutes. Now, so to kind of wrap up the basis of everything we're talking about, when Benjamin Netanyahu was speaking to Congress, I actually really like that he really challenged not just aspects of our policies, but also of our culture, what we're being allowed to happen. And I want people to have the freedom to even make stupid, terrible decisions. But we're talking about indoctrination. And he did rightfully call out, and I'm using the quote here, useful idiots of that Iranian terrorism sort of cohort and regime that you just mentioned. So, we can balance. You've got the right to be an idiot, but we have a duty to call it out, and not just because these kids are wrong, but because this is a danger to so many foundations of not just our country, but the West. So where do we go from here when we're dealing with these moronic 20-somethings who think that, like Benjamin Netanyahu said, gays for Gaza is like chickens for KFC?
It definitely is, and definitely are useful idiots. The best way forward is for the public to put pressure on these universities. The rot is too deep within. There's never going to be change from the professors and administrators that have led us to this point. We've seen major donors pull money from the universities. Harvard has lost well over $1 billion in donations because of their handling of anti-Semitism. And I think their chief financial officer just resigned, the guy who was in charge of the donations, because the money just dried up. UPenn is facing a similar crisis, and parents and students can also just say, we're not going to apply to you anymore. We're not going to accept your offers. We're going to go to schools that reflect our values. It's not a coincidence that we saw a few groups of frat guys at University of North Carolina and other universities, raise the American flag and do counter protests against the useful idiots on their campus. The Southern universities and the public universities right now are better vehicles for teaching students a good education and ingraining them with American values than these coastal elite schools are.
I just want to point something out, and I know Stell's got a question for you here. You accurately referred to pro-United States demonstrations as counter-protests.
Oh, my gosh.
I would like everybody just to think about that for a quick second,
Wow.
Stell.
So, Professor, looking back on October 7th, could you give us your perspective on how you feel regarding the fact that tragedy, that attack on October 7th has literally faded into the background?
It's faded into the background because October 7th was a Saturday, and by Monday morning, you saw a huge wave of campus anti-Semitism on universities. That's where it started in the United States, because October 7th was the realization of what every anti-Israel, every anti-American professor and student has been hoping and praying for. There were memes about how they were celebrating the resistance, and they love to live action role play being little terrorists themselves. So there was a sense of jubilation. One Cornell professor called it exhilarating when he saw the footage of the rapes and the murders in Israel. And it's faded to the background because this is what a lot of them have wanted. They've wanted Israel to be annihilated, and they've wanted a Oriental world order. And I mean that academically as the term is. I don't mean that culturally. They want to see America lose its status as a superpower. And so the tragedies that happened there were inconveniences for the people who now still protest American Jews in Israel because they want to see Israel destroyed, and you destroy it through rape, murder, and hostage taking.
So last question as we wrap up here, Professor, is what do we do about it? Because it's really easy to go, it makes me mad that my tax dollars are going for that. But that's just the way that it is in academia. The academy is just captured right now. So is there anything that we can do to push the narrative, push the conversation, push the foundational assumptions back to something that is more moral and more normal and stand up against this anti-Semitism, this anti-American hate that's happening?
I think you're completely right to be outraged at pro-American protests and our counter-protests, but I think that is the most useful thing I've seen students do to reverse the trend and reverse the comfort that pro-Hamas students feel they have on campus. So I would encourage more students to do that as the opportunities arise, or just do it of their own calling. Also, I, for myself, last semester filed 36 Title VI complaints against universities that failed to protect Jewish students on campus because no one was paying attention to the suffering and the problem there. And I just got actually the discrimination policy is going to be updated at Brown University this year to include anti-Semitism. So I'm very glad to see change there. And I think we have to use the legal and bureaucratic processes at our disposal to affect change. It's slow and it's infuriating, but I think that is our best tool right now.
All right. And people want to learn more about what you do and your colleagues do at Campus Reform. What's the way to do it? Website, social media, anything like that?
Campusreform.org, and handle is Campus Reform.
First morning news dump of the day comes your way here in just about 2 minutes and 19 seconds right here on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. The latest news.
Republicans are going to try to make the same case against her they were making against Biden.
Kamala Harris was the chief enabler for all of this.
At the end of the day, Republicans know who our candidate is, Donald Trump, who's not a puppet, and that's why he's going to win in November.
Our campaign and President Trump are prepared to defeat Kamala Harris.
We are the most unified party I think that's ever existed.
The party is now Trump's party.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
I want you to know that McGuire Moving and Storage is silver certified, which means McGuire has a quality reputation helping older adults move local or long distance. And something else to know, Josh McGuire, president of McGuire Moving and Storage, is the only certified moving consultant in Missouri. I'll tell you, once you met Josh, you're going to know your move will be easy. And I fully endorse McGuire Moving and Storage. McGuireMoving.com.
Get ready for a tourism transformation. Candidate for Lieutenant Governor, David Wassinger has a vibrant vision to make St. Louis shine. From the Gateway Arch to Forest Park and beyond, Wassinger is committed to making St. Louis a top travel destination. Meet and hear David Wassinger speak this Thursday, August 1st at 7 p.m. at 3710 Hampton Avenue. Learn more about this free event at stlouisrepublicans.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michael's Flooring Outlet. Michael's Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michael's to rip up their old carpet and replace it. They are both happy with the product and installation from Michael's. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peter's, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
All right, Stan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, another local police department is closing its doors, and no, Donald Trump did not endorse your favorite candidate for Missouri governor. Another one of those debacles. And what did we learn over the weekend? Well, apparently the French are a bunch of perverts, I guess. I don't know. Let's dump some news on you.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
All right, Israel hits back against Hezbollah after a rocket attack killed 12 children and wounded dozens of others on Saturday. The IDF says that on Sunday they hit 7 targets in Lebanon with rockets of their own. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, a Republican, was on CBS's Face the Nation reacting to the attacks and says he's worried that Iran could be close to getting its hands on a nuclear weapon. And he's citing a report that the Senate received last week that he calls, in his words, stunning.
I am very worried that not only you could open up a second front, but they could use these 3 or 4 months before our election to sprint to a nuclear weapon. And we have to put them on notice that cannot happen.
And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu cut his trip to the U.S. short after that attack on Israel, headed back to Tel Aviv, saying that they would not let that go unanswered. And they did not. All right. President Biden says he's going to be introducing a Supreme Court reform proposal to Congress, which would introduce term limits for justices, along with what he calls an enforceable code of ethics. New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew, Republican, was on Fox News Live, says the move is, among other things, just political pandering.
There have always been decisions that either Republicans didn't like or Democrats didn't like or both didn't like, but that's part of it. They are an independent body, and they should be so. What this president, Joe Biden, is trying to do, in essence, is destroy the Supreme Court. His administration, the people around him, the far left, have no respect for the rule of law.
And fellow Congress person and judicial scholar Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez filed articles of impeachment for Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito. Those, along with the president's bill for judicial or Supreme Court reform, are going to go absolutely nowhere.
Wait a minute. Did you put AOC and scholar in the same sentence?
I did, because I'm Monday and feeling weird already. I just decided to do it. Okay. All right. GOP vice presidential nominee, of course, that is Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, was being criticized for comments where he said members of the Democratic Party are childless cat ladies. Childless cat lady. Okay. The hopeful was on Sunday Night in America on Fox, and he says, well, really what that's all about is the Democrats have become anti-family.
They've encouraged young families not to have children at all because of concerns over climate change. They've suggested that people who do have children are somehow being selfish, when I think being a parent is actually the most selfless thing that you can do.
All right. And the senator went on to say that he thinks leaders without children do not have, and I'm quoting here, have a direct stake in the future of the country. Not sure I agree with that, but what he said in the soundbite, I completely agree with. All right. Another North County Police Department is disbanding. The Calverton Park Police Department will cease to exist on Thursday. Chief Sean Gibbons says they lost 3 of their 4 officers to other departments that simply pay more money. Mayor James Ponovich says the city doesn't have the money to continue having its own department. For the time being, Florissant will provide police services. Calverton Park is the 3rd North County Police Department to disband in recent months. All right, the Cardinals lose the series, but they avoid being swept by the Nationals at home. Ryan Helsley ended up with the win. The final score at Busch Stadium, 4-3 on Sunday.
Friends, Joe Biden's inflation is hitting us hard. Gas and grocery prices are soaring, and our paycheck buys less and less each day. But as your representative, I've fought for lower taxes, cutting wasteful spending, and bringing jobs back to Missouri. I stand for hardworking families, not Jefferson City insiders. I ask for your vote again so I can continue to fight for you. Vote Philip Olerking for State Representative, District 100. Let's make Missouri strong again.
Paid for by Phil Olerking from Missouri, Charles Barker, Treasurer.
Looking for the ultimate golfing experience in St. Louis? Look no further than Sugar Creek Golf Course. As the most popular golf course in the region, Sugar Creek offers 18 holes of challenging play, designed for all skill levels on rolling country hills with stunning views. But it's not just about the game, it's about the experience. Friendly staff, new Yamaha golf carts, freshly paved cart paths, and renovated clubhouse will make your day on the course a pleasure. Sugar Creek Golf Course, the perfect place to bring your team or friends together. Book your tee time today at sugarcreekgolfcourse.com. That's sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Seavers JCB is where you need to go for the industry's best compact track loaders, featuring the iconic single-arm JCB power boom and side door entry. JCB compact track loaders are stronger and safer than conventional twin-arm machines, and they deliver the power and performance you need. For a limited time, get financing rates as low as 0.99% on new JCB compact track loaders, or take a generous cash incentive. Stop into your local Seavers JCB or visit seaversjcb.com.
Dreaming of upgrading your outdoor space? STL FenceWorks is the choice for you. Our skilled craftsmen build custom fences from modern vinyl to classic ornamental, fitting your style and budget. Elevate your outdoor living with low-maintenance decks designed to relax and entertain. We choose only top-quality American-made materials, ensuring your project is built to last. Your satisfaction is our passion. With over 50 years of experience, custom designs, and exceptional customer service, visit stlfenceworks.com today.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable, final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886 or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNVS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro's won a highly controversial presidential election.
Fireworks echoed around Caracas after the first result of the election were announced, with President Maduro joining a crowd of supporters to celebrate.
Soy Nicolás Maduro Moro.
I am Nicolas Maduro Moros, the re-elected president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela.
This result, however, is disputed by the opposition. They said some of their election observers were removed or barred from some counts, and they had access to only 30% of the printed receipts from the country's electronic voting machines.
That's BBC's Joan Wells reporting. U.S. Secretary of State Blinken says the U.S. has what he calls serious concerns about the announced results in Venezuela. Speaking in Tokyo today, shortly after the announcement, Blinken said the U.S. was concerned the result reflected neither the will nor the votes of the Venezuelan people. Lebanon state-run news agency says Israeli strikes killed 2 people and injured 3 in southern Lebanon. That comes after Israel was attacked over the weekend, one that left 12 children dead. Fire crews hopeful cooler, more humid weather will help them get a better handle on the Park Fire in Northern California. We get more on that from correspondent Jackie Quinn.
Fire officials say the Park Fire, the largest in California, is now 12% contained, but still threatening thousands of homes. The sound of firefighters on the ground trying to douse billowing flames in Forest Ranch, California, and water-dropping helicopters above. Homeowner Craig Kelb says he's hopeful they can save his house.
Pretty confident talking to this crew here.
They're doing a lot of work.
The park fire has scorched more than 550 square miles of land, burning down dozens of structures. I'm Jackie Quinn.
More from townhall.com.
Hi, everyone. If you've been injured in an accident that was not your fault, listen up. We have legal professionals standing by to answer your questions for free. Call now and find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth. Call 800-504-8790. I'm here with spokesman John Wolf. So, John, tell everyone listening who should call right now.
Well, Maria, first off, thank you for having me here. It's always nice to answer the listeners' questions. Now, as far as who should call in, anyone who's been injured in an accident and think you deserve compensation, give us a call right now. 800-504-8790. You'll find out if you have a case and how much it's potentially worth.
Thanks, John. You heard it, folks. Take advantage of this opportunity and call now. 800-504-8790.
Advertisement sponsored by Legal Help Center. May not be available in all.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Scattered storms in spots this morning, a heavy downpour or two with some lightning possible, but that rain fades into the midday and afternoon hours, opening the door to a long stretch of dangerous heat and humidity. Clouds thin this afternoon, temperatures jump into the low and mid-90s. Just a slight chance of a storm this evening and overnight. Most of that's east of us, down to 78 for the low. The worst of the heat runs from Tuesday through Thursday. Highs in the upper 90s, heat index as high as 112. Be careful. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
Are you tired of establishment politics? Meet Adam Schnelting, your true conservative choice for state senate. Adam Schnelting, husband, father, soldier, and member of the House Freedom Caucus. Adam authored the legislation that ended abortion in Missouri and is the grassroots candidate Jefferson City fears. Unlike his opponent Phil Cristofanelli, who's backed by lobbyists and Democrats, Adam's support comes from right here in St. Charles County. It's time for real conservative leadership. Vote Adam Schnelting for state senate.
Paid for by Leadership for America PAC, John Royal, Treasurer.
Attention homeowners and businesses. AMF Electric has been your trusted partner since 1985. For your home, our residential experts treat every project with the utmost care and importance. From simple repairs to complete renovations, we've got you covered. Businesses, our commercial team handles all types of construction with expertise and efficiency. Even clients from out of state request our top-notch services. Available 24/7. We're just a call away at 314-647-4066 or amfelectric.com.
Free speech is alive and well in America.
Sometimes it's hard to know what's real and what isn't.
Right here.
The country is heading in the wrong direction under this president. We're suffering shortages. America's running out of everything.
News Talk STL. News, analysis, opinion. Mike Ferguson.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Gabe Pfeiffer.
We have a hope.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
What do you call a genius in President Biden's Homeland Security Department? A visitor.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, in case you hear the alarm. Get up.
Good morning to the people of St. Louis.
My goodness, over the past couple of weeks, I think there have been more changes to the news and the headlines than in any 2 weeks of my career, maybe my life. From the Republican National Convention, which obviously was a major event following the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, to the new focus on diversity, equity, and inclusion after some of the failures of the Secret Service are being blamed on that. Is that fair? Let's talk about it. I'm Mike Ferguson. I'm joined now by Pastor Corey Brooks. He was one of the speakers who gave one of the prayers at the RNC a couple of weeks ago.
Lord, we ask for your divine presence to bless every heart and mind. Grant us wisdom and courage and discernment as we chart the path of our beloved country. May our deeds reflect your will and bring glory to your name. We pray for strength to better our individual selves so that we may bless those around us. let us be reminded that we are one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may also know him as the rooftop pastor. And Pastor Brooks, appreciate you being on the program. Let me start with not just the prayer that you gave at the Republican convention, because we know there's a schedule of speakers and you had a prominent role there, but you really took some backlash for being there, even though the prayer that you gave was really one of unity, not just politically, but on a community-wide basis. Tell me about that backlash.
I received a lot of backlash, especially from people in Chicago who are part of the Democratic stronghold and want to keep things as is and keep the machine in place. So a lot of those people who participate in the Democratic Party said a lot of evil, mean things, and they continue to this day saying things that are hurtful, damaging, but yet we fight on and we continue to move forward, trying to do something to transform this community. It was definitely a lot of pushback.
And that's not going to be unique to Chicago. I mean, was it a matter of you're from Chicago, therefore you shouldn't be with the RNC? Is it a matter of you're black and you shouldn't be a part of a Republican event? What was it that they were complaining about, and what's the answer to that?
Absolutely. I think it's both of those things. It's one, I'm from Chicago, definitely should not be a part of the RNC. Two, I'm a black man. You definitely should not be a part of the RNC. And three, you definitely should not be supporting Trump. And those things brought on a lot of negative attention. The problem is that there are so many people who are still stuck in their ways, and so many people who are still under the belief that blacks can only think one way, and that we can only be a part of one party, and all of us have to think alike, act alike, be alike. And that belief system has gone on for far too long.
And when we look at the identity politics, which is really what kind of those attacks, it sounds like, came from, a lot of that spilled over after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump right before the convention itself. A lot of attention on things like diversity, equity, inclusion, DEI, saying that we have to have that outcome that looks at race and gender and everything. What are the lessons that we've learned? And you're working, in some really challenging environments in Chicago. There's a lot of people who would say you should be the biggest champion of something like DEI or diversity mandates or things like that. What is it that the conversation should look like if we're going to get to solutions that provide everybody an opportunity to have the life that they want to, so they can flourish?
Well, contrary to what one might think, I'm one of those who believes that DEI is definitely anti-American. I'm one of those that believes that DEI fails to address the root issues like education and job access. I think that a lot of times we spend in our community and other communities more time focusing on DEI than we do the root causes. Studies show that diversity training can increase resentment and decrease morale with a lot of different companies. And we see that all over. This whole idea that somehow you're going to strengthen corporate America or strengthen America just by having DEI is totally a total fallacy.
What is the right solution? There are some, corporations that are now quietly getting rid of their DEI policies and departments and executives. And, there's a lot of colleges that are under scrutiny. Now we've got the political realm. But when you're dealing with people on that frontline level, what's the better solution? Because somebody would argue, but Pastor Brooks, the people that you're serving are the ones who are going to benefit from this the most. You're saying absolutely not the case. What's the better approach if we're looking at really improving people's lives, or maybe I should say allowing them to be empowered to improve their lives?
Yeah, people who think that somehow that's the better approach don't understand that DEI perpetuates the narrative of Black inferiority that was established during slavery and segregation. So it constantly perpetuates that narrative. I believe that a better focus of our resources would be on strengthening family and community values. I believe that a better use of our resources could be used on education, especially when only 37% of Black students are proficient in reading. by the 4th grade and 17% in math. That's across America. In our neighborhood, it's even worse. You got 6% proficient in reading, and you have 4% proficient in math. So I think that the better use of resources can be put in education, strengthening family values, strengthening the family, and strengthening community values.
We are visiting with Pastor Corey Brooks, and we'll give out the website and social media information here in just a minute. A couple minutes left, Pastor Brooks. When we talk about, for instance, strengthening the family values, a lot of people see that as something separate from education, or they look at that as separate from economic development or economic opportunity. How does that play a foundational role with all of the others? And I'll tell you right now, my follow-up question is going to be, is there a role for government in that, or is it a matter of government needs to stay out of the way?
Yeah, there's a failure to address core issues, and emphasis on DEI detracts from addressing fundamental issues like quality education and stable family structures. DEI does nothing to address those issues. And oftentimes those are the issues, especially that our community is dealing with every single day. I believe that as it relates to government, that they could do a better job just staying out of the way and staying than trying to mandate and legislate for people to somehow fix racism by focusing solely on skin color. That's what happens when you do that? You overshadow individual merit and contributions, and that's what I believe wholeheartedly.
Okay, so in the last minute or so, we've got with the success that you're having in Chicago, there may be people anywhere else in the country who are taking in our conversation. They're saying, okay, well, what does work? If this isn't the program that works, what can I do to implement strengthening a family structure or, making education more accessible? What are you seeing that works on the ground level where you are?
Well, what we're seeing that works on the ground level is we have an organization called Project Hood. Hood stands for Helping Others Obtain Destiny. Our focus is on education, economic, social, spiritual ills, health, and wellness. And we believe that we can transform our community, which is, by the way, happened to be in 2014. The Chicago Sun-Times said we were the most violent neighborhood in all of Chicago. Some suggested that we were the most violent hood in all of America. We decided we were going to fix that, and we were going to implement nice conservative principles to eradicate the poverty and the violence that we see every single day. So we started using programs under those pillars that help individuals to start taking accountability for their lives. And we see the results every single day. Now we're not even in the top 30 neighborhoods considered dangerous in the city of Chicago, because we've totally transformed this neighborhood by helping people to understand that it's not about the color of your skin. It really is about what Dr. Martin Luther King said, character. It's not about someone telling you that you're inferior or that you cannot do it. We're going to promote that you can do it if you work hard, if you believe in yourself, and the American dream is attainable and accessible for everyone.
And how do we learn more about what you're doing? Website, social media, anything like that?
Yeah, go to projecthood.org, projecthood.org, and you can find out about all the wonderful work that we're doing on the south side of Chicago.
All right, Pastor Corey Brooks, thanks so much for the insight. I think it's something people can take no matter where they are in the country.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you being on your show.
I don't know if you caught Pastor Brooks' prayer at the RNC. It wasn't pulling any punches. Let's put it that way. You can find it on YouTube very easily. It's pretty cool. Check it out. All right, what do you think? 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, 99.1 HD3 and newstalkstl.com.
Don't try to make me stop. Inspiration, you have a soul so dark, it is no more.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Making cold my heart to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
You have a home you want to sell. You loved it, spent a lot of time in it, raised your family, but now it's time to move on. I've got a phone number you need to be calling. Be ready to copy that number down. I'm going to tell you, I'm talking about Jen and Rodney, the Wallner team, a husband and wife team that knows how it comes to a time in life that you need to start downsizing. They can help you. In fact, the Wallner team at Berkshire Hathaway sell 15 times more homes a year than the typical realtor. They'll work with you on the commission, and there's no obligation. You'll have no long-term commitment. You can simply decide, I want to change my mind. Jen and Rodney will understand. They're licensed in Missouri and Illinois. So if you're ready to sell your home or you just want to have a conversation about it, contact Jen and Rodney. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team now. 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Missouri has been hijacked by the crooks in Jefferson City. Career politician rhinos sell us out every chance they get. We need real conservative Bill Eigel. Eigel's plan: ban China from owning 1 inch of Missouri land, end personal property tax, and deport every single illegal immigrant in Missouri. Listen to conservative Bill Eigel.
We'll round up illegal immigrants and get rid of them, period. We'll ban Chinese ownership of our land and take back everything they stole. And we'll go by how God made us, not some stupid woke pronouns. They'll call us racist, sexist, God knows what else. And that's how we'll know we're winning.
Conservative Bill Eigel. He'll take on the woke mob, send illegals back where they came from, and stop the Jeff City crooks hijacking Missouri. Conservative Bill Eigel for governor. Believe in Life and Liberty PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this communication. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.billpac.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Danny Define here with the Next Gen, all new time, Sundays at 8 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning.
Okay, let me make this clear here. No, Donald Trump did not endorse your favorite candidate for governor of Missouri. We're going to get to this in a minute. I know your favorite candidate claims that he did.
Or he did. He did everybody's favorite candidate.
I had Barely Biggs asked. He said on Rumble, he said, hey, while I was scrolling through X yesterday, I came across 2 posts from 2 Missouri gubernatorial candidates claiming they were endorsed by Trump. Which one is lying? I said both and neither. That's
yes.
right.
Yes.
I'm going to explain here in just a minute.
It's so weird.
All right. Hey, we promised that we were going to give you an overview of the statewide primary races in Missouri, because we've had a number of people say, I know who all the people are running for governor. We obviously know who's running for attorney general. That's in our face the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
But all these other races, there's a whole bunch of people I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I said, a week or two ago, I said, you know what? We're going to do a series of segments where we're just going to tell you who these candidates are. And we're going to start that series at 6:35.
Awesome.
Yeah. Our good friend Tim Jones is going to be with us. We're going to start with the lieutenant governor's race. And I know a lot of people say, lieutenant governor, who cares? Listen, that's the heir apparent to become the next governor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an important race. All right. So we'll get to that 6:35 here. 6:20 right now. I'm Mike. Got Gabe here. Got Estelle here. All right. Donald Trump decides to comment on the race for governor of Missouri, and he said nothing. Okay. So here's what happened, because I saw at least a couple of the candidates. I think all 3 of them kind of rushed out like, endorsed by Donald Trump. Donald Trump, thank you for the kind words. And so Trump put out a quote on his Truth Social. Yeah. And he says, let's see here. Basically what he said was, Missouri, you can't go wrong. You've got 3 really good MAGA candidates. It's just vote for one of them. And he did not endorse anybody.
No.
but yeah, everybody
an endorsement of everybody is an endorsement of nobody.
Right.
Yes.
Because you remember the whole during the U.S. Senate thing where he said, I endorse Eric.
Yeah.
With Greitens and Schmidt.
There were 2 Erics.
Okay. And both of them rushed immediately out to go, I've been endorsed by Donald Trump. And so, and remember, I know all 3 of the candidates, and 2 of them are friends. One's an acquaintance. But they weren't endorsed by Donald Trump when he says, they're all 3 good.
Right.
Okay. That's not an endorsement.
It doesn't count. I don't think that counts.
Missouri Republican voters, you've been trolled by Trump again. All right, you've been punked.
Again.
You got trolled by Trump again.
That's because Trump plays 4D chess.
Something like that. That's what I'm told.
That's right.
That's right. And I'm kind of thinking, I'm like, if you're not going to make an endorsement, why?
Mm-hmm.
Why
make the
decide
statement?
that, well,
kind of muddy the waters
here.
here.
Get in the headlines.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it would seem kind of out of the way for him to go to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. He says, all have had excellent careers. All have been with me from the beginning. They are MAGA and America first all the way. I can't hurt two of them by endorsing, capital E, one. So therefore, I'm going to endorse, capital E, for governor of the great state of Missouri, Jay Ashcroft, Mike Kehoe, and Bill Eigel. Choose any one of them. You can't go wrong.
Except you can, but that's a whole different story, I guess, maybe.
But first of all, I don't know why he endorses the word, or he capitalizes the words he does. It makes no sense. Endorse is not a proper noun. Anyway, just that aside. I don't understand the point of that post.
I'm not sure either. I don't know. I got nothing.
That's all I got.
I'm currently racking my brain. Actually, this is. I don't know if you hear the gears.
It's a little early in the day.
Yeah.
A little early in the day. All right, so there you go. So somebody says who got endorsed? Nobody got endorsed. No. That's just the way it is.
Technically everybody, but that is also nobody.
Nobody.
Yes.
Yeah. So I mean, there are some other gadflies in the race who did not get a Trump endorsement, I guess. But
they didn't get a nod.
They didn't. They didn't get a non-endorsement from Trump. Jeez. My goodness. All right. Okay. So we'll get into this in a little more depth at 7:05. This Olympic opening ceremony.
Oh gosh.
Everybody is still going nuts over this. I got to my mom's house. My mom just had open heart surgery, and I got there over this weekend to kind of do my shift and helping her out. And my wife was already there, and I walked in kind of like when the ceremonies were underway. What was that? Friday afternoon, I guess, our time, Friday afternoon, which would have been,
evening there.
And I walked in, and my mom and my wife's jaws were basically on the floor. Could not believe what they were watching.
Mm-hmm.
And I walk in. Of course, I haven't watched the Olympics in forever. I think they've gone nutty and leftist, and then they've done really stupid stuff like have skateboarding as an Olympic event, and then guys in man buns, and just the whole world is off kilter. I'm just saying. I haven't paid attention to the Olympics really. I just don't care. On it. It used to be something special, and I just don't have the same interest as I used to. But that all being aside, my mom just had an open heart surgery, and she doesn't have a lot to do, and she likes to watch the Olympics, and she was hoping to watch, the ceremonies, which are typically really cool and a lot of, singing and dancing and all kinds of stuff. And then we had this garbage from the French.
It was horrific.
Now, I know everybody's focused on the whole Last Supper parody that was there.
Right.
And definitely we're going to have plenty of time to talk about that. But don't let that distract you, as there was a lot of other stuff to find distasteful.
Yes, there was also the general degeneracy that was on display.
It
right.
really was just a big. I mean, there were moments where there were very cool things in there. Some of the dancing and some of the whatever. But it was basically the French telling the world, hey, we're a bunch of perverts.
Yes.
Or am I reading too much into that? Or are they just really that degenerate?
No, I'm pretty sure it was just hey, look at our favorite fetish people. It's basically what the opening ceremony was. It stands in stark contrast to previous opening ceremonies where it was very much a display of cultural heritage.
Right.
And here's the beauty of our culture. Here are some of the things that we're particularly proud of. So that's the only conclusion you can draw from this particular display is this is what they are proud of as a product of their culture, because they're putting it as their contribution to the opening ceremony of an international competition.
I thought it was poetic justice that it started raining.
Yeah.
And that it poured on.
Oh, it poured.
Oh, did it?
A lot, yeah.
It just dumped on them.
So a couple other things. Let's also keep in mind that apparently our flag bearer, you pick one athlete who does the flag on the opening parade, and I will say, by the way, putting all the teams on the boats on the river, that was actually pretty cool. I actually thought that was cool. But ours was LeBron James. Okay, so because he was on the boat and it was crowded, he wasn't able to take a knee and put his fist in the air this time. Now he wants to, keep the American flag. And I'm thinking of all of these athletes.
Yeah, why this guy?
This is the guy this is the one you decided that you want to have that honor to do this.
Well, and the other thing too is it goes back to the opening up of the Olympics to professional athletes, right?
Right.
When in this was originally intended for amateur athletes.
Right.
I would have much rather had seen an amateur athlete of some note, maybe a new record holder from I won't say obscure sport, but a sport that doesn't get quite the same attention as the multi-million-dollar basketball, industry, right? So I would much rather see lower tier, we'll say, athletes get these particular honors.
Great story.
Somebody with a great story, exactly.
Yeah. I mean,
so then you can highlight. It's something to highlight. It's something to point out because it's not as though they're getting a multi-billion-dollar worth of salary from doing what they do.
Yeah, and then but we got that guy. So, but
Yeah.
you look at everything. And 705. Let's go into more depth on this. So many different things. By the way, and the left's reaction to this has been, shut up, you stupid Westerners. That wasn't the Last Supper. That was the Feast of Dionysus, the Dionysus / Bacchus. And like that wasn't even the Last Supper. Well, the producers, the organizers, and the actors have all said, no, that was the Last Supper.
No,
they've acknowledged that that's what it was.
That was intentional.
Now, the blue queer guy, was portraying Dionysus or Bacchus, however you want to say.
Right.
I had to really pull back to my Greek mythology and art history classes from college to remember this. He was. Now, keep in mind, he's also, among other things, the Greek god of wine and ecstasy and sex and partying and stuff like that. I'm like, great, okay, boy, got yourself off the hook on that one, didn't you?
Well, let me just say, as someone who comes from both sides of the fence, on this, I thought the whole excuse of saying that it was Greek. Sorry, pal. In 2024, this is what you're going to use for your opening ceremonies. For me, as a Greek guy, no, didn't belong there.
Right.
And the Last Supper aspect, that was pretty obvious.
Oh,
And I don't know how they could just say, oh, no, it was all Roman and Greek stuff. I realize that the French are maybe more open as far as cultural things are concerned, but this is the Olympics. And I agree with you regarding LeBron and Snoop Dogg, really?
Yeah. A former gang member.
Come on.
Turned cartoonish cultural icon.
That was pathetic.
Says more about us than.
Yeah, I'm
But,
afraid so.
You look at some other stuff because Rachel was like, hey, they had a heavy metal band, and I'm not familiar with that band. And I'm like, why is beheaded Maria Antoinette singing?
It's like, what is happening?
Okay, so you got the, I guess you got the French Revolution and the beheadings that they're doing. And you know what? That's a very heavy metal thing. And I'm glad that some of my music was represented in there. I have no idea what they said because I'm pretty sure they were singing in French. I have no idea what they were saying. But that was, okay, there was that. And then my wife caught this. I did not catch this, but apparently as part of the dancing at one point, there was a woman who took two men up into a closed door and then came back down and gave them each a kiss. And of course, France is very, culturally very big on polyamory and thing. So she's like, that was literally a shout out and a nod to polyamory, in addition to all the drag queens and in addition to all the gender nonsense that was there. So basically the French just celebrated to the world, we're a bunch of perverts.
Yes, we are the degenerates of Europe.
There was even the threesome kind of thing.
I think that's
portrayed there.
I think that's the one that Rachel was talking about. Exactly. All right, let's go.
One other thing I didn't. I'm just bringing this up because I couldn't tell close enough. Quite a few people said that the Olympic flag was raised upside down, and I honestly couldn't tell. But all right, I'll look into it and see. If they, obviously they probably did it by mistake. I hope they did.
Yeah,
it's entirely possible. I mean, it's basically okay. Well, how many rings are on the top versus how many rings are on the bottom?
I honestly don't know if I would notice one way or the other on that.
Yeah, I think it's 4 rings on the top and 3 on the bottom, or something like that.
Yeah,
we'll see.
And there was even more to this that we didn't even cover. So 705. Let's come back to a 705. And I put the question out on Rumble as well. All right, what do you think? I mean, how much of it's overblown? Some of it, I'm like, it's a little bit of a stretch. Others. Parts of it, I'm thinking, no, you're spot on. That was really gross.
Yeah.
And other parts, it is what it is.
But I have it as worldwide television.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
That's the thing that
It's-
really makes me scratch my
And I'm
head.
thinking you had years to plan this.
Yeah.
What were you
And
doing?
like the Last Supper thing, I'm like, how many levels of getting an okay on this
yeah.
before somebody was like, yeah, people are going to love
Mm.
that. By the way, most Christians in the world are not in the United States.
Right. They're in Africa.
They're in Africa and in Asia.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, yeah, the Americans got all mad. Well, yeah, but we're not the majority of the Christians in the country. We're just a small part of the Christians in the world. Yeah. All right. Just ahead here. Let's start learning who in the world are these people on your ballot running for statewide offices.
We need to know.
Yeah. Tim Jones is going to fill us in on some of those starting at 6:35. We're going to look at the Missouri Lieutenant Governor's race, one heartbeat away from the governor's race or from the governor's office, and also the heir apparent in the next governor's open seat as well.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All your dreams are strange.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Scattered storms in spots this morning, a heavy downpour or two with some lightning possible, but that rain fades into the midday and afternoon hours, opening the door to a long stretch of dangerous heat and humidity. Clouds thin this afternoon, temperatures jump into the low and mid 90s. Just a slight chance of a storm this evening and overnight. Most of that's east of us, down to 78 for the low. The worst of the heat runs from Tuesday through Thursday. Highs in the upper 90s, heat index as high as 112. Be careful. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Attention thrill seekers and fun lovers. Did you know the Midwest's largest wooden roller rink is right here in Missouri? Welcome to Piccadilly Palace, your ultimate family entertainment destination. Glide across our massive skating floor, conquer arcade challenges, put your way through mini golf, and dive into cutting-edge virtual reality experiences. And coming soon, a relaxing bar and grill patio, state-of-the-art golf simulators, and heart-pounding two-story go-kart racing next to East Central College in Union, Missouri. Plan your visit now at PiccadillyPalace.com. That's PiccadillyPalace.com.
On August 6th, your vote will shape our community's future. Introducing Representatives John Simmons and Kyle Marquardt, two candidates with starkly different records. John Simmons, a staunch conservative, has consistently cut taxes and defended parents' rights for education choice. He believes in limited government and safeguarding our privacy. Simmons even championed legislation to secure our elections, ensuring integrity at every step. In contrast, Kyle Marquardt voted to expand welfare and increase government spending, and also supported invasive, warrantless government drone searches. When it comes to protecting your rights and hard-earned money, the choice is clear. John Simmons is not just making promises, he's delivered real results. It's time to make your voice heard in the Republican primary. Vote John Simmons, the representative with the proven conservative voting record. Paid for by Nova PAC, James Murphy, Treasurer.
News Talk STL is proud to have Doug Voss as part of our lineup every week. Doug has been a staple on St. Louis radio for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 3 times every weekend on News Talk STL. And in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. What else do our listeners need to know, Doug?
Simply put, I focus on helping pre-retirees and retirees build, preserve, and protect retirement assets, and I've been helping my clients solve their insurance and financial needs for the past 33 years. I also strive to educate my clients on how to prepare for retirement, minimize the impact of market volatility on their assets, and deal with the challenges of increased longevity. Call me today at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
What new chaos and crises did Joe Biden start over the weekend? We'll discuss at 4:25 with former U.S. Senator Jim Talent. Red State Headlines at 5:25 with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Dan Bongino here, and I'm proud to be on News Talk STL every weekday from 11 to 2. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, we promised that we would review and assess kind of the main candidates for Missouri statewide offices. So let's get started, because it's interesting, Gabe. We had a number of people say these are statewide offices, and I don't know who these people are.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
And we're talking News Talk listeners. People go out of their way to be informed, and I get it, because when you look at a lot of these races, we're not talking about the governor's race. We all know them. Attorney General race, we know them. But look at all these other races. They're basically people who are well known in regions of the state, but not statewide. So let's do our duty here and let people know about them. By the way, Gabe and I are going to be broadcasting Thursday's show from PJ's Coffee in O'Fallon, Missouri. It's going to be fun. We're going to be doing the whole show from there. So stop by, say hi, hang out with us while you're there. Grab some coffee, maybe some breakfast, or just go through the drive-thru and wave at us when you're going through. So it's gonna be a lot of fun on Thursday. This coming Thursday, PJ's Coffee just off Route K in O'Fallon. It's gonna be a blast.
Yeah.
And we have to bring back beignets for Stell.
Yes.
The Stell's got to run everything here.
Please,
So
I'll take a dozen maybe.
Am I just weirdly excited about the food, or is everybody else kind of?
We're all excited, but you might be weirdly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am weirdly, but I think everybody should if you're in the neighborhood, you're gonna get some coffee and a pastry anyway. Stop by, say hi, grab a beignet.
Exactly. All right, joined now by the one and only former Missouri Speaker Tim Jones. You can hear him every afternoon, of course, here at 4:00 on News Talk STL. All right, Tim, let me start with that basic premise of what I just said. There's a lot of people who say, wait a minute, I pay attention to this stuff. And when you look at some of these races, and right now we're going to look at the lieutenant governor's race, they're like, I don't know who these people are. I may have heard of that one or that one, but across the state, that's been an interesting cycle this year, because there's a lot of people who've gotten in who have some resume and have some cred, but they don't have that big name ID like we're used to hearing.
That's for sure. Hey, good morning, guys. Great to be back with you today. Yes. And what's really disappointing to me is the fact that people will see a name enough and then they'll vote for them. And, I don't want to blame the voters, but you got to do your homework, folks. And so it's disappointing to me that the person who, not all the time, and definitely in recent years, this is definitely changing, but it's disappointing to me that just because you spend a ton of money, someone then votes for you. If the only reason you're voting for someone is because you've seen their name more than others, you're not doing your homework. Now, voters do have the opportunity to get a lot more educated these days, because, guys, I've got two awesome resources I'm going to point them to today that we can talk about in future discussions as well. CPAC, the American Conservative Union CPAC, they do a scorecard. They have a famous scorecard. It's a national scorecard. I have nothing to do with it. I do not work for CPAC. I know a lot of their people. I know a lot of the people at the American Conservative Union, but I'm just giving this as a free resource that people can go to. And you can go to just put in your search engine CPAC. Okay, CPAC is the political arm of the American Conservative Union. Very well respected, been around for decades. The other one is a newer item, but these are many of the super geeks, like people, Gabe's people, So that worked on CPAC. And I love these guys because they do a deeper dive than CPAC. They look at the way you vote. They look at the way legislators have voted on actual bills and amendments to bills, going really deep, like into that amendment process and finding out, were these people, do they just tell you they're campaign conservatives? What do they really do in the depths and the bowels of Jefferson City, in these committee hearings and in this arcane floor debate, like what we have in the Senate? When people on the conservative side are trying to really move things forward, there's a lot of ways to kill bills, guys. There really is. There's a million different ways. And a lot of these more liberal Republicans, yes, there are plenty of liberal Republicans serving in Jefferson City. They get away by doing things a lot of times behind the scenes. And so the Institute for Legislative Analysis, they started a scorecard a couple of years ago. It's fantastic. It's really amazing. They have ranked not only every single legislator in the state of Missouri, but many across the country as well. They're kind of working slowly with the states. These things are available for free and online. I found the fellow that we're going to talk about here in a second. I found him in about 3 minutes.
Got it.
On both the CPAC score, and I can send you the links for these. And people can look at the CPAC ratings, and they can look at the Institute for Legislative Analysis ratings as well. Two great resources. Don't just believe the hype. Don't just believe the ads that are flooding your televisions and streamers, your smart speakers. I'm getting ads on my Pandora playlist, for God's sake, right now. And you need to definitely do some research because, Mike, as you said, this is a generational shift in Missouri. Tons of new names on the ballot next week.
All right, let's get with a few of them. So let's kind of go down the lines here because I've got a few minutes here. Senator Holly Rader. Of course, a lot of people would know her because she's from the southeast part of the state. Let's introduce her to people in a real brief way.
Yep. So we're talking about the office of Lieutenant Governor, as Mike said, Lieutenant Governor. Many of you are only focused on maybe the U.S. Senate race or maybe this big congressional race with Bob Onder in the 3rd Congressional. But below that, down ticket, as we say, there's a ton of offices. Lieutenant Governor is very important because, Mike, I totally agree with you. Number one, you're viewed as governor in waiting. Now, it may work for Mike Kehoe this time. It may not. In the past in Missouri, that's not automatically been a stepping stone, but it can be. It can be because you're called the lieutenant governor. You are second in command. You get to preside over the Senate. Very important seat, and you can raise a lot of money. I served with Holly Rader in the Missouri House, and I would say overall, she's got a pretty decent record. She's got pretty decent ratings from the ratings agencies, where she was one of the people who was at the forefront of pushing the right to work initiative, and we got to get back to that someday. We can't continue to be a union state where workers have no choice, and we're surrounded by right to work states except for the People's Republic of Illinois. So she was really good on that. She was really good on taxes. Now, the one knock that many of us have talked about with Holly Rader over the years was she was the big proponent of the Prescription Drug Monitoring Program, PDMP. That comes from a personal story of hers. She was born to a teenage mom. She was raised in very difficult circumstances in Southeast Missouri. She wrote a book about it. You can go read her book, and she'll explain all this. It's called Cinder Girl. It's kind of a J.D. Vance kind of story. It really is. Growing up in the Appalachia of Missouri, down in the deep boot heel, very, very poor area. Very rough upbringing, and she made it. She made it to the big time. She made it to the House. She made it to the Senate. She's running statewide. So there's a big knock on her on that. Other than that, I mean, overall, she's a pretty decent choice for lieutenant governor. I would urge people to check out Holly Rader. She has a long legislative history. She's concluding her 16th year in the Missouri General Assembly. She served 8 years in the House. She'll serve 8 years in the Senate. She's running for statewide office. I would check out Holly Rader.
Morning, Sam. Gabe here. Who else should we be on the lookout for in that race?
Well, the two that you're probably seeing the most on your telephone, on your TV, and on your streaming devices is State Senator Lincoln Huff and Attorney David Wassinger. Now, let's talk about Huff first. I am anyone but Huff in this race.
Yes. Agreed.
I believe there are 7. If I got my math right, I believe there are 7 people in the lieutenant governor primary. This is what I mean by how difficult this is for everybody to ferret through this. So here you go. Lincoln Huff is the worst Republican in my mind ever to run for lieutenant governor. His ratings are atrocious. CPAC, I think, was a little generous to him in giving him a 64% rating last year, 2023, 64% overall. And he was in the House with me as well. And I started seeing the devolution of Lincoln Huff early on. When I was majority leader, I had a tough time getting him to vote for some of our most Republican items, the things that all the Republicans the movement conservatives wanted to push through. His lifetime rating so he's been in for 14 years. His lifetime rating is 67%. Folks, that's a failing grade. The Institute for Legislative Analysis, like I told you, they go a lot deeper. They go a lot deeper into his work as budget chairman in the Senate. He is a huge, big, giant spender. Lincoln Huff is at 39% under the Institute for. That's not called a Republican.
Jeez.
That's called a Democrat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Easily.
He's voting think of it this way. He's not voting. Don't think of it as voting with the Republicans 39% of the time. Think of it as voting with the Democrats 61% of the time. Yeah. He is a huge, big, giant spender. In fact, for the first time ever, the House rolled him on his budget. His budget proposal was like $2 billion higher than the House's this year. Cody Smith, who's running for treasurer, rolled him on that with the House's help and some of the Freedom Caucus help, and they prevented his budget from going through. The House budget went through. He's got tons of bad votes, guys. He votes against life. He took tens of thousands of dollars, his super PAC did, from the Arnold Foundation, John and Laura Arnold, the leftist, left-wing billionaires down there in Texas who want ranked choice voting. So whether it's a gigantic budget, whether it's ranked choice voting, whether it's voting against some of the most Republican items out there, Lincoln Huff is the worst. Cross him off your list twice.
Yes. Yeah. And it's spelled Hough. By the way, he's got a bunch of billboards and signs I've seen all over the state. The agriculture groups, for whatever reason, have gotten behind him, which means he's a threat to actually win this.
He is, I know we're not going to talk about him today, but in my mind, he's Mike Kehoe Jr. He loves things like the gas tax. He loves supporting China farmland. I mean, this guy is the worst. He's the second low. I don't know how in the world Mike Bernskoetter beat him. He's the second lowest Republican out of 100 and what do we got? 150 plus Republicans in the General Assembly. He's the second lowest. You should not even think about voting for Lincoln Huff.
I completely agree. Yeah, please do not vote for Lincoln Huff. Real quick here, because we're a little heavy on the segment here. You mentioned David Wassinger, who's actually going to be in St. Louis speaking at the St. Louis GOP on Thursday. But a lot of people are seeing the ads. I mean, I've met him just very, very briefly, but what do people need to know about him?
So, to just kind of put a bow on things, you've got 7 people running. There's 3 I think you should. Well, there's 2 that you should consider. There's 1 that you should absolutely not consider. And the others, I'm sorry, they just haven't made much of an impact in this race. They haven't raised the money. They don't have the grassroots support, et cetera, and so forth. So I would consider either Holly Rader or David Wassinger as your choice. David Wassinger is an attorney here in St. Louis. I believe he's a member of the Federalist Society, which is the conservative attorneys group. My only issue with David Wassinger is he's never been in office. I don't know how he's going to govern. I really don't. He tells me how he will. He likes to hang out with the conservatives. He's a member of the Federalist Society. I like all of those things. He's a very friendly, affable guy. I believe that if the wrong person gets elected governor, he could be a good check on them to push back, because the lieutenant governor will get a lot of press and attention. He ran for state auditor a few years ago. He did not get out of that primary. And so this time he appears to be spending a lot more money. A lot of it is his money. He's putting his money where his mouth is. He's been traveling the state quite a bit. So I would give David Wassinger a look. I would look at David Wassinger or Holly Rader. I would absolutely cross Lincoln Huff off your list. Yeah. The others on the ticket, there's some good people there. They just haven't raised enough money, gotten enough. They're not going to. I'm sorry. I'm being honest. They're not going to win. Even if I promote them here today on the mighty News Talk STL, not enough people are going to be able to know about them by Election Day. So, between Wassinger and Rader, you'll have to do a little more homework. Look at do your research on them. Cross Lincoln Huff off your list.
All right, Tim, that helps out quite a bit, because I know, like, for instance, Franklin County Clerk Tim Baker is in that race, but he hasn't really made any impact or dent on that race. Good
guy, but just hasn't made a dent in the race.
Right, exactly. All right, Tim Jones, of course, you got Tim coming up with Chris Harps at 4:00 this afternoon. As always, Tim will be tuning in, because God knows what's going to happen between my show and your show.
It's going to be wild. Thank you, guys. Continue to have the awesome show you do.
All right, Tim. Talk to you soon, Tim. All right, got some thoughts on that? Let me know. 314-912-1019. And I'm kind of where Tim is. I've settled in on, Holly Rader, David Wassinger. I have not made a decision on which one of those, but I absolutely agree with Tim 100%.
Never Huff.
Never Huff.
Never.
Let me put it this way. If he were to, God forbid, win this primary, I'm still never Huff. I don't give a crap that he does have an R behind his name. I won't vote for him anyway. He's the one who worked with Caleb Rowden to derail so many of the big conservative things while he tries to take credit for being a conservative. He's just not.
No, not at all.
All right, let's dump some more news on you here. Just head on 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
No matter how big the event, Capriotti's can take care of all of your business or personal catering needs. With party trays, box lunches, a meatball bar, shareable salads, plus desserts and sides. Easy ordering is available via the Capriotti's app. Check it all out at capriottis.com.
Re-elect State Representative Tony Lavasco. Tony Lavasco eliminated licenses for home-based businesses. Tony Lavasco, rated 100% by the American Conservative Union. Tony Lavasco, the only candidate endorsed by Missouri Right to Life and by the NRA. Tony Lavasco, the only choice for small, limited government. On August 6th, vote Liberty. Vote Lavasco.
I'm Tony Lavasco, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Citizens for Lavasco. Dan Rakers, Treasurer.
Jewels on Hampton and St. Louis Hills is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches on site. Jewels on Hampton is a premier jeweler featuring Alvanza's jewel art designs with an exquisite selection of diamonds, semi-precious stone jewelry, and vintage watches. Their expert design team can restyle your jewelry to today's contemporary style. They also do jewelry and watch repair. Need extra cash? Jewels on Hampton is paying some of the highest prices on gold, silver, diamonds, semi-precious colored stones, coins, flatware, and fine watches. Bring in your collectibles and clocks and sports memorabilia and figurines too. Jewels on Hampton, 4506 Hampton, just 3 blocks south of Chippewa, and jewelsonhampton.com. Call them at 314-752-5000, 314-752-5000, and jewelsonhampton.com. Jewels on Hampton.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hi, it's Randy Tobler here. Pour a big cup of coffee and catch my show every Saturday morning from 6 to 9. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the Morning here on News Talk STL.
All right, another local police department is shutting down, and a little bit later on today, 7:05. What did we learn over the weekend? Well, apparently the French are a bunch of perverts. Let's dump some news on you right now, though.
Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The Morning News Dump.
By the way, the opinions on the Rumble chat box, at least regarding the opening ceremonies to the Olympics, very wide range.
Mm-hmm.
Some people saying, I'm not getting offended at this. What are you people worried about? You're wasting your time. Others saying that was disgusting. So 7:05, we're going to have that discussion here. All right, Israel hit backs against Hezbollah after a rocket attack killed 12 Israeli children and wounded dozens of others on Saturday. The IDF says that on Sunday, they hit 7 targets in Lebanon with rockets of their own. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham from South Carolina was on CBS's Face the Nation reacting to those attacks and the news of it. He says he's actually worried that Iran could be close to getting its hands on a nuclear weapon, and he was citing a report that the Senate received last week. In his words, it's stunning.
I am very worried that not only you could open up a second front, but they could use these 3 or 4 months before our election to sprint to a nuclear weapon. And we have to put them on notice. That cannot happen.
Well, how could Iran afford to do that? Oh, yeah, we released $6 billion at least and sent it to them last year. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu cutting his trip to the U.S. short after that attack, heading back to Tel Aviv. Okay, so reports say that President Biden is going to introduce a Supreme Court reform proposal, which would, among other things, introduce term limits for justices, which, by the way, is not in the Constitution, and with what's he calls an enforceable code of ethics. Congressman Jeff Van Drew, Republican out of New Jersey, was on Fox News Live saying this is nothing but pandering.
And there have always been decisions that either Republicans didn't like or Democrats didn't like or both didn't like, but that's part of it. They are an independent body and they should be so. What this president, Joe Biden, is trying to do, in essence, is destroy the Supreme Court. His administration, the people around him, the far left, have no respect for the rule of law.
Okay, the key thing here is that the Constitution was set up very clearly so that each branch puts checks and balances, and what the president and what many on the left are wanting to do is to eliminate the Supreme Court's ability to check the presidency, to check the executive, to check Congress. Just this idea, thank God it's not going to go anywhere this time, but this is very, very dangerous. It would be very dangerous to our constitutional republic if it were ever to move forward, because the Supreme Court would likely strike it down saying checks and balances are very real here. And then we could have a constitutional, well, frankly, crisis. And I know that's a cliche word at this point. Okay, Senator J.D. Vance, obviously, as you know, Republican vice presidential nominee, catching a lot of heat for comments in the past where he has criticized members of the Democratic Party, calling them, and I quote, childless cat ladies.
We had one who lived across the street from us in South City for about 20 years.
A Democrat?
She may have
you mean
been
a childless cat lady?
Yes, elderly lady with about 25 cats in her house. She was a nice gal.
Oh, I bet you could smell it from your place.
Well, if you got close to her front door, you could.
That ammonia.
Yeah, something was there.
Oh, man. All right. Well, Vance was on Sunday Night in America on Fox, and he says, explaining that, answering to the criticisms, says the Democrats have become anti-family.
They've encouraged young families not to have children at all because of concerns over climate change. They've suggested that people who do have children are somehow being selfish, when I think being a parent is actually the most selfless thing that you can do.
And he went on to say, boy, the Democrats took that out of context. Welcome to the presidential campaign trail, Senator.
Yeah.
This is how this goes.
It's pretty standard operating procedure. You shouldn't be surprised. You'd think he would have gotten that during the Senate campaign too, right?
Oh, it's up a notch.
Yeah, well, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
I suppose it's an order of magnitude higher.
Oh, yeah. All right. Another North County Police Department is disbanding. The Calverton Park Police Department will cease to exist on Thursday.
Oh, wow.
Chief Sean Gibbons says they lost 3 of their 4 officers to other departments that simply pay more money, have better benefits. The mayor, James Ponovich, says the city does not have the money to continue having its own department. So for the time being, Florissant will provide police services. Calverton Park is the 3rd North County Police Department to disband in recent months.
He's rolling. He could give the Cardinals the lead. Swing and get up, baby. Get up, get up, get up, get up. Home run.
On Saturday, August 17th, the Cardinals host the Los Angeles Dodgers. That night, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will leave with their very own Scott Rowland bobblehead. Thanks to Amaranth. Don't miss your chance to add the newest Cardinal in the Hall of Fame to your collection. That's the Scott Rowland bobblehead night, Saturday, August 17th. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/promotions.
Back by popular demand in 2024, it's the Cardinals belt bag. On Sunday, August 18th, the Cardinals are going to host the Los Angeles Dodgers. And on that day, 25,000 fans ages 16 and older will take home an exclusive belt bag thanks to Phillips 66. That's Sunday, August 18th. The Cardinals, the Dodgers, and the popular Cardinals belt bag giveaway. Get your tickets today at cardinals.com/promotions.
This is Alec Burleson, St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Replacing your roof is always a big deal and a big decision. That's why I want you to call my friends, the folks that we've trusted with our homestead, Eureka Contracting and Roofing. 636-938-ROOF. That's 636-938-ROOF. They are veteran-owned, over 30 years of experience in the construction and insurance industry. They'll replace 100% of your roof, siding, fascia, and gutters. They'll come to you with a personal consultation. Give them a call anytime that Mother Nature strikes you. 636-938-ROOF. Available 24/7 at eurekacontracting.com. That's eurekacontracting.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness 101. Wellness 101 is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on News Talk STL. For more information, visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. The U.S. is questioning claims of victory by Venezuela's President Nicolas Maduro.
Celebration with supporters. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro is claiming victory in the presidential election. But Maduro's opposition is also claiming victory, saying that Edmundo Gonzalez won. While traveling in Tokyo, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken questioned Maduro's claims of victory.
We have serious concerns that the result announced does not reflect the will or the votes of the Venezuelan people.
Venezuela's National Electoral Council, which is controlled by Maduro loyalists, earlier said Maduro had secured 51% of the vote to 44% for Gonzalez. I'm Donna Water.
Firefighters have made progress in the battle against wildfires covering massive areas of California. In Forest Ranch, this homeowner says he's confident his home will be spared because of the hardworking fire crews.
I'm pretty confident talking to this crew here. They're doing a lot of work, a lot of hand line, a lot of hand crew around here. They're pretty confident. Everyone thinks it's going to be able to be safe.
As of yesterday, the Park Fire in California had scorched an area greater than Greater Los Angeles, and it was just one of the more than 100 blazes burning in the country. The Federal Reserve is expected to signal this week it will likely reduce borrowing costs as soon as September. Jim Bullard is dean of the Daniels School of Business at Purdue University.
For now, it very much looks like a soft landing for the U.S. economy. I think the labor market has normalized. Inflation has come way down, not quite all the way to target. And now it looks like the policy rate can start to come down to a more normal level as well.
Fed rate cuts over time typically lower borrowing costs for things such as home mortgages and auto loans. On Wall Street, Dow futures are up 180 points. More from townhall.com.
My doctor told me my blood pressure is borderline. I figured I could worry about it or do something about it. So I took control with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula. It works safely and naturally to help maintain healthy blood pressure with a custom blend of garlic, vitamins, and minerals. And it's odor-free. I'm taking charge with Garlic Healthy Blood Pressure Formula.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Scattered storms in spots this morning, a heavy downpour or two with some lightning possible, but that rain fades into the midday and afternoon hours, opening the door to a long stretch of dangerous heat and humidity. Clouds thin this afternoon, temperatures jump into the low and mid-90s. Just a slight chance of a storm this evening and overnight. Most of that's east of us, down to 78 for the low. The worst of the heat runs from Tuesday through Thursday. Highs in the upper 90s, heat index as high as 112. Be careful. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Need reliable auto service from people you can trust? Look no further than Western Tire and Auto. For over 15 years, we've been your complete automotive repair center, family owned and operated, with owner Dean Kleethermes bringing 30 years of industry experience. At Western Tire and Auto, you're not just a customer, you're family. We promise 100% satisfaction, treating you with the transparency, respect, and honesty you deserve. Visit us in St. Peters or in Florissant. For appointments, call or check westerntireauto.com. Western Tire and Auto, your local automotive experts since 2008.
Get ready for a tourism transformation. Candidate for Lieutenant Governor, David Wassinger has a vibrant vision to make St. Louis shine. From the Gateway Arch to Forest Park and beyond, Wassinger is committed to making St. Louis a top travel destination. Meet and hear David Wassinger speak this Thursday, August 1st at 7 p.m. at 3710 Hampton Avenue. Learn more about this free event at stlouisrepublicans.com. Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC, Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com. Mike Ferguson.
You play ball like a girl!
Gabe Pfeiffer.
I triple dog dare you!
Get up! Get up! In case you hear the alarm.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, drag queens and beheadings and a purple guy in the middle of a plate of food and a bunch of other stuff.
Oh my!
Wow! I did the DNC. I thought wasn't starting
I
for
know,
a month.
Exactly. How many drag queens will there be at the DNC?
Oh wow! There's
that's going to happen.
That's something to guess,
Oh,
right?
man.
You should give away a prize for that one.
That's right. The Olympic opening ceremonies have the world talking still. And they have the left trying to gaslight us right now. All right. So 314-912-1019. I'm looking at the discussion on particularly the Rumble chat box, by the way.
Yep.
It's kind of at both ends of it. You know, some people saying, hey, I'm done, turned it off, not watching anymore. I get it. And then others saying, who cares?
Right.
Basically. So I'll read a couple of those here in just a couple of minutes. By the way, don't forget our podcast. Like, for instance, that conversation we had with Tim Jones a little bit ago, if you missed it, he kind of evaluated the lieutenant governor's race. As far as the Republican side, who are the candidates, to know a little bit about them. We're going to post that here in a little bit. That is a good thing to share to your friends, because there's a lot of people out there who just don't know these candidates, because it's just one of those weird years where nobody has a big statewide name recognition. And so the campaigns are very different. So we're doing a series this week of get to know these candidates from a somewhat objective source. We all agree in this room that one of those candidates, we're begging you to vote against. Please don't vote for that.
Please don't.
But that's in the podcast. So please subscribe to the podcast, share it, get it out there. Or you can find it at newstalkstl.com or wherever your podcast platform is. We are there. Okay. So let's talk about the opening ceremonies for the Olympics. I stopped watching the Olympics a long time ago. It's weird because I'm a sports guy.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was a kid, man, the Olympics, you looked forward to, you counted down, you really got invested in the medal count at the end of the day, and you had my favorite sports. You know,
I was tracking them, and even when the time differences were ridiculous, I would, and it's going to date me here, I would set my VCR to record the particular sports that I wanted to watch, whatever time that they happen to be on, even if it was like 3 a.m. broadcast of the Taekwondo championships. I wanted to see it, so I would record it on my VCR.
Well, and you got invested in like some of the athletes, like Carl Lewis and Dwight Stones and Mark Spitz, and
Carl Lewis,
and
Jean-Claude Keely.
That's right, Mary Lou Retton. You know, and so you had it was really something special. You know, and you got more patriotic, you wore more red, white, and blue, and it was very, very pure, very instant. Occasionally you obviously had the controversies like 1980 when Jimmy Carter pulled the United States out because of Russia's invasion of Afghanistan and everything that went on with that. So occasionally politics came in.
1968, Mexico City,
obviously. There was Munich in 72, I think that was.
Right.
So it's not like there was, but it was something most of the time very special.
Yeah.
And of course, the Winter and Summer Olympics were in the same year, which now it's every other year, which I think is weird. But for some reason, I just don't care as much.
Yeah, same.
You know, I just don't.
I'm trying to recall when I stopped caring and why.
Yeah.
And maybe it just fell off my radar.
I know.
I can tell you exactly when I stopped. 20 years ago, 2004 in Athens. I was excited to see it.
Oh yeah, back in
Greece,
back in the home country.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, let's see how it goes, and it went well. But I'll be honest with you. Number one, it killed the economy in Greece because they spent so much money on it that it totally destroyed them financially. And number two, I lost interest after that. And I saw a little bit of the opening ceremonies, I think, from Beijing and a couple of the other opening ceremonies. But you're right, Gabe. The interest has waned since then.
Well, let's talk about the opening ceremonies, because I went right after the show, and then we have our post-show meeting, and I just jumped in the car, went to Kansas City. It was my shift to help out my mom. She's kind of recovering from a surgery. She's doing very well, by the way. You know, we can keep her from misbehaving and not trying to do too much, which is the problem.
Don't lift anything, Mom.
I finger wagged at her twice.
Literally don't collect cats either.
Yes. No. She's
literally anything.
She's got one cat. It's a great cat. But here's the thing: is I walked in because it was. I guess I got there Friday afternoon. You know, I left here, I think by 10. Stopped in Columbia, got some lunch. I got in, 2:30 or 3 or something like that. And the opening ceremonies were either on or they were playing on a delay. Whatever it was. And my wife was already there, and my mom is there, and they're just staring with their jaws open.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is going on? And my wife goes, "You're not going to believe this." And she starts talking about all the stuff in the opening ceremonies.
Right.
And so the French, we know they're a little weird, they're very artistic and all of that. So you figure there's going to be some goofy stuff.
Sure.
But basically it was perverts on parade.
Right.
And then mixed in with some other stuff that was fine.
Okay. Yeah, relatively okay.
You know, they did the parade of all the athletes where normally they march around the track. They had them on the boats on the river, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, that's neat.
But we'll get to the US version of that. But drag queens as far as the eye could see, basically.
The first clip that I saw, I got to
Yeah.
be honest with you, my response was, what in the wide world of sports is going on here?
Yeah, exactly.
This is wacky.
That's a great reference, by
Yeah.
the way.
Blazing Saddles? Is that right?
I think, no, yeah, well, is it Blazing Saddles?
I think it's Blazing
yes, I
Saddles.
think
It
it's
might
Blazing
be.
Saddles. Yes.
For instance, I look at, let's see here. Rebecca says, I turned the Olympics off years ago when they first went woke, and my decision has been confirmed correct over and over again. It is time people actually live their values and turned off the woke stuff. And she says turned off the Olympics. Lunch Lady agrees as well. And then here's another perspective on this. Jay Monty says, and he's referring to the Last Supper parody that they did. He says, if a Christian, he's got that in quotes, is going to clutch their pearls over this and all of a sudden act like victims, they've been watching liberals way too much. I will leave that there. He also said, I just don't give two craps about what the French are doing. I have better things to worry about and be concerned about. So you've got a wide range here. So he's talking about, there was the one scene where it was almost all drag queens. There were some others that were not. That was obviously a send up of the Last Supper painting.
Yes.
Which, first of all, the Last Supper is not part of the Christian canon. It's a painting, but it depicts a biblical story. And then the left at first tried to go, well, that wasn't the Last Supper. That was the Feast of Dionysus.
Because of the weird blue guy underneath the being served on the table, essentially.
Right. Which was clearly a reference to Dionysus, or other people would know him as Bacchus.
Right.
And so I had mentioned earlier, I had to really dig back to my mythology class in college and my art history class.
Well, you could have called me. I could have told
right, exactly. And so they've got this, and somebody even found like some paintings of the Feast of Dionysus and stuff. And then, okay, that kind of sort of looks like it. But the producers of the event and I'm saying this in context, and I don't know why she was cast in the Jesus role, but the morbidly obese woman, and for some reason that clearly she was cast for that reason.
Yep.
I don't know why, but she had like a halo hat on, and on her Instagram, apparently she's a gay activist, I guess, in theater or something. Cause I saw her Instagram thing. Somebody screenshot that and sent it to me. She said, look at this, the new gay testament, and the producers, they all acknowledged that, yes, this was a parody of the Last Supper.
Yeah.
Okay. So those who are saying it has nothing to do with this, the world's laughing at you. No, you're just gaslighting. So whether you're like, Jay Monty says, who cares? That's French. They're weird. Don't go worry about it. Other people who are saying you've mocked our faith.
Right.
Try that with Islam, folks.
Right.
They had a newspaper who published drawings of Muhammad, and 10 or 12 journalists were murdered by Islamic extremists.
Charlie Hebdo.
Yeah. So
in France.
are they going
in France? Oddly enough,
France, right?
Yeah.
So are they going to mock another religion? No, they're not going to.
Oh, of course not. No, Christianity's on the table all the time, though.
Yes, I'm so used to Christianity being mocked. It doesn't really affect me anymore. I'm used to it. I mean, look at our own like pop culture. Look at our own sitcoms. Look at music. I just
every other concert is basically a satanic ritual.
Yeah. So when you see that, and there were other things to be mad about. Everybody's focused on this Last Supper send up.
Sure.
But there was a lot of other stuff that was just bizarre.
Yes.
Like I said, and it was mixed in with some stuff there was some good, artistic stuff in there. There was good and bad. Just the bad was really bad. I mean, it was basically the whole point was we're so proud of our perversion.
Yeah, it was fetishes on parade,
right?
Kind of thing.
I mean, and that was like the big point. That was the main thing. Was the big point.
A few people might have missed it, and hopefully you did. But there was a guy whose short shorts were a little too short.
And first of all, everybody who screenshotted that and put it on my Twitter timeline,
yeah,
I am not going to forgive you anytime soon.
You could have blurred it. You could have blurred it. Gosh, dang it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was stuck in your head now. But I guess the issue is,
and that was not accidental, by the way.
Oh,
that guy's junk was hanging out.
That was intentional. You don't think that was a malfunction?
No, that was not a wardrobe malfunction.
Well, here's the thing. And look, I agree that there are a lot of people, who haven't been to church in 3 years who are talking about how much they are offended by this, and I do find that kind of silly. I do think there are people who are kind of taking the criticism, a degree that's not helpful. But we can't be so desensitized to this stuff that we simply refuse to acknowledge it. And because it's indicative of something. It's indicative of where the West, which is literally built on a foundation of the Christian ethic in many respects, is going. We have to regard that with some trepidation, because when you get rid of a foundation, usually the building can't stand. So it's concerning in that regard. It certainly draws out a bit of compassion that I have for people who are so wrapped up in their kind of anti-Christianism that they would, do these things and feel good about it. Definitely praying for them. But like I said, it speaks to a larger picture about the direction that the West is moving. And if we don't say anything about it, we're essentially complicit. You have to say something. You have to. The only way you can affect culture is by participating in culture. And I am participating when I say I don't like that. I don't think that's good for culture. What do we used to talk about? We talk about shame as a method by which culture could adjust itself.
It's a self-regulation.
Self-regulation on culture. Well, if what I say is causing some measure of shame to the people who are highlighting these things, and the Olympic Committee actually came out with an apology,
sort of
apology.
It was basically
if you were offended, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry you feel that way.
I'm sorry you feel
what
that.
was.
It is absolutely that. But we have to say something. I can't. We've been keeping our head down in terms of the culture for so long. That's why they have so much ground now. So I can't not say anything anymore.
Will we see even more of a reticence to watch it if more companies pull out? I know a couple already pulled out their advertising, and it was because of what was in the opening ceremonies. Is that what's going to help people realize, hey, we've got a problem here? One issue I've got, there's a couple of kids from my high school that are playing men's and women's volleyball. I want to watch them. And a couple of people asked, hey, you going to watch since you got some high school kids from your high school? I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do. The Greek basketball team, I want to see how well they do, but I don't know. I'll just look it up online and see if they win or lose. I don't care about any of the other stuff.
I would pound my fist and say, I'm going to boycott it. I'm not going to watch it, but I actually wasn't going to watch it in the first place just because I don't care about it. But I do think that the fact that it's reverberating, and it's not just in the US, it's worldwide as well. I mean, and there were some other aspects of it that I'm not sure the freak out is valid.
Right. Yeah.
The water
the white horse
thing.
Yeah.
I
don't think that was death.
That's the 4 horse of the apocalypse. That's death. I'm like, that's a stretch.
I'm not sure.
There's so many different things that use that imagery. I don't know about that one. I'm not quite sure why they had a beheaded Marie Antoinette singing with the heavy metal band.
Okay, well, that's a choice.
That was, I'm like, that was
choice.
interesting. That was something.
I thought maybe it was ventriloquism. I couldn't figure it out.
I don't know what she said because she was in French, and
right.
Her vocal cords were a little shredded.
I see what you did.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's a far cry from some of the the downright beautiful and enchanting things that we've seen in other opening ceremonies, right? So it's a stark contrast there.
Yeah, when you're deciding that you're going to make a moral statement, you're going to tick somebody off.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean, and I don't know why they decided they thought the whole world was going to say this dude in a beard, dressed up in drag, bending over and presenting his backside. That's something the whole world can get him, can get excited about. Well, no, just about 2% actually.
And I guess it doesn't bother them that they've had riots and protests in Paris for the last year or so.
Right.
So, okay.
Well,
fine.
they weren't mocking that religion.
No,
that's
right.
That's not the one. Yeah. They know we're not going to riot. We're going to turn our nose up at them, maybe rightly or wrongly. But, so I think we just, we judge them and we just recognize that their culture is inferior right now.
Yep.
Can I say that?
Gross.
Yeah.
We give you news, analysis, opinion, and more. Only on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning. Columbo and Company.
Susie Moore from Red State is my co-host Monday as we enter the home stretch to Election Day in Missouri. We'll discuss the latest. Plus, Virginia Pruitt from the Daily Wire joins us
Live and local weekdays at 2
on News Talk STL.
Are you tired of hard chlorinated water drying your skin out, tasting bad, and ruining your fixtures? Jones Air and Water Treatment has a solution to this pollution. Our Hydratech H2O leaves you with great tasting, soft water at all fixtures in your home with one unit. Call Jones Air and Water at 636-899-1040 or visit us on the web at joneswater.com. You can be a filter or buy a filter. Jones Air and Water, 636-899-1040 or joneswater.com on the web. Call us now.
By now, you've heard Adam Schnelting's false attack ads. Don't buy his lies. Adam Schnelting says he opposes the transgender agenda, but he's trying to conceal the truth. Schnelting has received more than $71,000 from liberal trial lawyers. Those same trial lawyers supporting Schnelting also gave over $100,000 to a liberal group that supports men playing girls' sports, supports men using girls' bathrooms, and even supports gender mutilation surgeries for minors. To make matters worse, Adam Schnelting says he supports our gun rights, but he's received thousands from leading anti-gun lawyers that filed a massive lawsuit against gun makers and gun owners. But that's not all. These liberal lawyers don't just fund Adam Schnelting's campaign, their anti-gun lawsuits, or the transgender movement. They've also been leading funders of Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, and even the Joe Biden-Kamala Harris ticket. Adam Schnelting. With friends like that, conservatives just can't trust him. On August 6th, don't forget Adam Schnelting. He's loved by liberals, and he lies like one too.
Gladius PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising, paid for by Gladius PAC, and is not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
I really like all the things you're saying.
News, analysis, opinion.
Thank you very, very much.
News Talk STL.
Hey there, Tim Jones here. Make sure you join me and my buddy Chris Arps this afternoon from 4 until 6 p.m. right here on 101.9, 94.1 News Talk STL. Right now, let's get back to more of Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, we're going to come back to the opening ceremonies nonsense stuff. Did I lose any sleep over it? No. Did my blood pressure go up? No. Probably because, to your point, Gabe, I kind of expected at this point. I mean, I was kind of surprised that they went all out the way that they did.
Yes.
On it.
They went a little further than I expected.
Yeah, it was really, in your face.
Yeah.
And okay, I mean, that's your audience, but it was definitely not inclusive.
No, gosh, no.
By any stretch of the imagination.
Bodies spread out on flower beds.
Yeah, seriously.
It was weird. I mean, just be weird, French.
Well,
just be weird. Can you just be weird and just leave it at that?
Think about it this way. As much cultural differences that we have between us and China, I enjoyed the Beijing Olympics opening.
Oh, it was beautiful.
Right? So you're France. We look to you for food and art. Do the thing. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, a lot, apparently. All right, so we'll come back to that here in just a little bit. 7:25 right now. How in the world are the Democrats going to sell a Harris campaign? I mean, we laugh, but listen,
you're right.
I'm telling you right now, and I know people think I'm nuts. Listen, don't think this race is over.
Well, they're currently meeting with some success. Everybody's kind of euphoric about the exit of Joe Biden right now. Right. So they're saying, hey, all of our hopes and dreams lie on you, Kamala.
Yeah. So we're getting a first wave of their talking points. For instance, what we're starting to see is a tough as nails prosecutor because of her time as an attorney general and her time in the San Francisco DA's. Was it San Francisco DA's? I think it was San Francisco DA's before that.
Yeah.
This is among the messaging and the rebranding of Kamala Harris that's being test driven by the Democrats right now. For instance, J.B. Pritzker was on this week on ABC, and he was asked about her campaign. Now, keep in mind, J.B. Pritzker is also reported to be on the short list for vice president. But here's part of what he had to say.
Remember, this is a person who is a prosecutor. She's somebody who understands that making the case is how you win. That going out there and every day prosecuting the case, especially against a 34-time convicted felon and, frankly, congenital liar.
And so that's part of what we're going to see. Prosecutor,
Yeah.
But that's appealing to the law and order side because Democrats are losing on that issue in spades.
Well, of course, because, if you look at their cities are rife with crime and corruption and destruction. So they're looking for somebody to come and save them. And if Kamala Harris can be set up in a light as though she is some sort of law and order savior, then you can win back the votes you might have had that were going to stay home in November.
Well, they could try at least.
Yeah.
There was a great Babylon Bee over the weekend. I don't know if you guys saw it. It said CNN awarded Pulitzer for outstanding achievements in deleting old stories about Kamala Harris.
Well, for instance, now the whole borders are things come up. The Trump campaign and the Republicans smartly said, hey, here's your borders are. What's the number one issue that people are mad about right now?
Right.
The porous border, the lack of a border. But they have now tried to completely rewrite history on this.
Yes.
For instance, Secretary Pete Buttigieg was on Fox News Sunday, and he's basically going, you people aren't even telling the truth. Here's what he had to say.
She was not in charge of the border. The Homeland Security Department is in charge of the border. She did do something important, though. She was assigned to conduct diplomacy with Central American countries, knowing that that's part of the bigger picture of what's affecting the border. And you know what? Those Central American countries are among the few countries to see their numbers go down in terms of the source of migrants who are seen at the border.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
She was is the border czar. By name. That is what Joe Biden gave her.
Oh, he's trying to parse it. He's like, well, it's these specific countries he's supposed to talk to, and those countries' numbers are down for some reason. You know what? I don't buy it. First of all, I don't buy that. Second, obviously, you're gaslighting us about the border czar thing. Tony Colombo on Colombo and Company on Friday. He found the original announcement. He found the announcement by Biden sitting there with Kamala Harris 3 years ago. It's 2021. They've got their COVID masks on still, and Biden sounding exactly like Biden does sound today, by the way, to show another gaslighting issue, is talking about how no one's more qualified than she is to negotiate with these people and to stem the flow of people coming across the border. He was having such a hard time not saying illegal aliens, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, border czar. And immediately after, by the way, CNN with their gigantic white letters underneath the Kamala's face, border czar.
Yep.
And what did we hear for months? Hey, when's she going to go visit the border?
Yeah.
When's she going to go visit the border? And then afterwards, Lester Holt does the interview.
Yeah. We've been to the border.
Oh, yeah, we've been to the border. Well,
no, you haven't.
No, you weren't even really close to it. You were a few miles away. And, I haven't been to Europe either.
Yes, I remember
I haven't
that.
been to Europe.
I remember that.
What does that have to do with it?
Nothing.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, so the vice president spoke on Saturday to a young voters summit called the Atlanta Year of Youth Summit. And here's part of the argument she's making to young voters.
Because young voters showed up, we have made so much progress, historic progress, on everything from gun violence prevention to taking on the climate crisis. And this November, we will win again.
They have to have young voters break their way in this election the way that young voters broke their way in 22.
Yes.
They have to.
Yeah.
And they're counting on the young voters being farther to the left than the majority of other voters. You've got your other groups that are split up. They really are counting on young voters breaking to the left.
Yeah,
and that might be a smart strategy.
Well, I mean, it is, considering that they've been controlling the education of those voters for however many years that they've been in school. For 18 years. It's a good strategy. As far as they're concerned. Whether or not it will be enough to overcome some of the negatives, some of the places where she'll lose votes, we'll have to see.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. 314-912-1019. I did notice something interesting when I was driving back and forth across the state of Missouri. this weekend. A lot of the political signs, because of course I take note of those. How effective do you think those are? What do they tell us? I looked at a lot of billboards, looked at a lot of signs, give you my impression. Tell me what you think. Let's talk some campaigning here in the area right around 7:34. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL.
And they taught me right and wrong, and black and white.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Scattered storms in spots this morning, a heavy downpour or two with some lightning possible, but that rain fades into the midday and afternoon hours, opening the door to a long stretch of dangerous heat and humidity. Clouds thin this afternoon, temperatures jump into the low and mid 90s. Just a slight chance of a storm this evening and overnight. Most of that's east of us, down to 78 for the low. The worst of the heat runs from Tuesday through Thursday. Highs in the upper 90s, heat index as high as 112. Be careful. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This is Katie McKinney, founder and head of school for Lafayette Academy in Lake St. Louis. Recently, we had a new second grader come to Lafayette Academy who claimed he was stupid and hated reading. Within months of using our world-class literacy program, he was reading Harry Potter and loving it. He had just not been given the right tools. This is what true education is all about, giving our kids the tools so they can be successful. To learn more, go to LafayetteAcademy.org. That's LafayetteAcademy.org.
This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
This might be breaking news to many of you. Did you know that someone tried to kill President Trump on July 13? Did you know that happened? Of course you do. And you know how it uncovered the total fail of the Secret Service. But the news cycle is always turning. And since that assassination attempt, we've had Joe Biden say he's stepping aside in his run for the White House and handing the torch to VP Harris. Previously, Biden had suggested, I'm more than capable of being president and running again, saying only the voice of God can get me to change my mind. Louisiana Senator John Kennedy says, I think what Biden thought was the voice of God was really the voice of Barack Obama. I would add to Joe, Barack is God. But back to the assassination attempt on Trump and just now being ignored. The leftists saw how that fueled even more support for Trump. So they had two options. Ignore it, which state-controlled media is helping them, or claim it never happened, that Trump was not even hit by a bullet. It was a shard of glass. Idiots. A shard of glass, a bullet. It was still obviously an attempt to assassinate Donald Trump. And do not forget, a father of two was killed.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code Tony at Intervine.com.
My sponsor, Wellington Environmental, has helped thousands deal with hazardous materials. Hospitals, offices, schools, even homes. Here's something new. Wellington now offers dustless blasting. This is just like sandblasting, but without all the dust and emissions. Wellington uses everything from ground glass, walnuts, corn, even dry ice pellets. One university had Wellington remove their parking lot striping because dustless blasting is fast and it does not damage the concrete. So as a business or homeowner, I'm sure you could use this process. Industrial tanks, swimming pools, graffiti on buildings. And in fact, Wellington is blasting a Texaco station that will be revised as an historic building. Check the website for details and photos. WellingtonSTL.com. WellingtonSTL.com.
Looking to get a new carpet, hardwood, or tile installed quickly and efficiently in your home? Look no further than Michaels Flooring Outlet. Michaels Flooring Outlet is a family-owned and operated business with a 30-year history of offering a diverse array of high-quality options in flooring. My parents and in-laws used Michaels to rip up their old carpet and replace it. And they are both happy with the product and installation from Michaels. You can shop at one of their 3 locations in Creve Coeur, Darting Prairie, or St. Peters, or you can check them out at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I want to know one thing. Where's the Republican outrage?
Live and local.
And how worked up are you news and political junkies for this one at this point?
This is News Talk STL.
Dan Bongino here. Keep it on News Talk STL because my show starts at 11 a.m. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
It's been such a long time. I think I should be going.
I admit it. I mean, I'm a political junkie, so I'm always looking at the political stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a news junkie. It's like people ask me, like, why do you like politics so much? I don't. But it affects our lives in a huge way. And I understand the politics.
Right.
And so I'm driving from here to Kansas City and back over the weekend. And I always take note of the political signs and the bumper stickers and the billboards and all that kind of stuff. And I'm telling you, what we're seeing in the rest of Missouri is different than what we're seeing right here in the St. Louis region. We'll get into that in just a second. One quick reminder, and I say reminder, I mean begging, is that if you're watching us streaming on Facebook, please hit the like of that stream right now.
Please.
If you are watching on Rumble, please hit that thumbs up like. If you're watching on Twitter, same, please hit that. And if you're really feeling generous, do the repost or share or retweet or whatever the platform calls for.
All the things.
It makes a big difference. Okay, so when I get out of the immediate St. Louis metro area, one thing that I started seeing everywhere, because let me put the context in. I'm in St. Louis and I'm driving out.
Yeah.
You see, obviously, all the local races, state representative, state senator, judge, all of these sorts of things. And then you see, the congressional signs, and you see just a bunch of Bob Onder signs, and you see the occasional Kurt Schaefer sign, but you're seeing a lot of Bob Onder. You see a lot of Bill Eigel. You see, some Jay Ashcroft. But once you get outside of the St. Louis metro, and this is I-70,
right.
I didn't go 44. I just went I-70. And you see almost nothing but Mike Kehoe signs everywhere.
And that's it's surprising, obviously.
Not to me, it's not.
If you're, if all you do is tool around the St. Louis metro, you would have a certain opinion about where these races are going based on the signs. Now, of course, signs don't win elections.
Correct.
Right.
That's right.
But it creates an impression the same way polls do. They create an impression about where a particular election is going. So that's very interesting.
Yeah. I've seen Mike Kehoe billboards around St. Louis.
Sure. I've seen those,
but I haven't seen that many campaign actual physical signs. Now I also saw a large number of Lincoln Huff signs for lieutenant governor, and oftentimes they were planted right next to the Mike Kehoe signs. So those are probably the ones that, like the Farm Bureau and some of those, they get their members to say, hey, can we put a sign out there by your field, by the highways? And that's generally what happened because those two are endorsed by, the cattlemen's, the soybeans folks, the Farm Bureau folks, and all of those. But that's one of the things where here in the St. Louis area, and I've mentioned this before, but it just kind of reminded me that the rest of the state tends to look at things differently than we do here in St. Louis.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've got to be very conscious of that. And that's why we have to vote very strategically, especially in that lieutenant governor's race, which, most people that's not even a thought.
It's not on their radar at all.
You've got the presidential race coming up, although that's not on the ballot in August. You've got, Josh Hawley does not have any competition for the primary race.
Gosh, no.
He doesn't have any competition in the general either, although Democrats are going to tell you, Lucas Kuntz is going to beat him this time. No, he's not.
No.
That race is settled. But the governor's race on down. And so people may have a strong opinion on Mike Kehoe versus Bill Eigel versus Jay Ashcroft. But the others, there's just not that many signs for anybody out there on those lower, down the ticket ones.
Right.
But it is interesting to see how much money is being poured into Mike Kehoe and Lincoln Huff. Now, I think it is crucial that we as conservatives defeat Lincoln Huff.
Yes, absolutely. My goodness.
That means please read up. And what you're going to see in his website, because I looked it up, what you're going to hear in his ads is just not true. Like Tim said, go look up the conservative groups that actually do the gauging of them. You know, Lincoln Huff, along with Caleb Rowden, you know, they were among those that derailed the biggest conservative things. Lincoln Huff, you know, is also simply on the left,
right,
on a lot of issues when it comes to DEI stuff, when it comes to, you know, some of the, you know, the nonsensical gender stuff in schools and things like that. He's just on the wrong side of it. He's on their side of it.
Yes.
So Democrats, I'm sure, are very excited that Lincoln Huff could be the governor in waiting.
Oh yeah.
Don't hand it to him.
He's basically a Democrat.
Yeah. Don't hand it to him. If he were running for office in any other area, he probably wouldn't bother with having an R behind his name. So vote accordingly. But when you look at the rest of the state, don't think because you don't see anything that says Mike Kehoe around here that there's not a big push for him. You know, Mike Kehoe, if you believe the polls, is neck and neck with Jay Ashcroft, with Bill Eigel not terribly far behind, but a little bit behind according to the polls.
Right.
So it's a fairly close race, but between Kehoe and Ashcroft, it's supposedly very, very close.
Yeah. And that's the scary part about having, you know, kind of a multi-part primary, an open primary with a whole bunch of people vying for the same position. Because if you have like Donald Trump liked to say, so many good candidates that you can't make an endorsement, then it actually splits the vote. You know, the anti-Kehoe vote is currently split.
That's true,
right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
if you look at it that way.
Righty Right on Rumble says there are tons of Kehoe signs along 44 as well. And listen, the three candidates, all three are conservatives to different degrees.
Yes.
Bill Eigel and Jay Ashcroft are more conservative than Mike Kehoe.
Yes.
Basically, if you are happy with the job Mike Parson is doing as governor now, then that's what you can expect from Mike Kehoe should he be elected.
Right. So hit or miss.
Right. And with Bill Eigel and Jay Ashcroft, if one of them were to be elected, you would see the governor's office move farther in the conservative direction.
Yes. It would be very much, that bully pulpit would be very much used to get more conservative things through the legislature.
Well, or at least put pressure on them.
Yes.
You know, I'm not confident that we're going to have great leadership in the Missouri legislature from the Republicans again.
Good point.
You know, so I don't know, but you would have somebody putting extra, you know, pressure on them.
I mean, as much criticism as I would have for a Kehoe governorship, I will say I don't expect him to be as bad at it as a Huff.
Oh,
you know,
my goodness. No.
Lincoln Huff is, you know, he's a Democrat, actually.
Right. And with Mike Kehoe, listen, I've only met him a few times. He's been on this show. It's been a little while. I think he's a very smart guy. I do think he's conservative. He's just not nearly as conservative as the other two, like I said. I don't think the world's going to end if Mike Kehoe is elected.
Right.
I just know that if you are a conservative who's fed up with the establishment, he's closer to the establishment than the other two candidates. I think it's fair to say.
Now, Lincoln Huff, of course, you know, we've mentioned the Reagan doctrine, right? And that's kind of what puts Kehoe in the conservative bucket is, well, he's 80% our ally.
Yeah.
Now, Huff is 60% our enemy.
Right.
So that's the thing.
Yeah. And here's the thing. If, God forbid, Lincoln Huff were to win that primary, I am telling you right now that I am not going to change my tune and say, well, he's better than the Democrats, so just make sure you vote for. No, I'm not saying that. I'm telling you, I am not voting for him in the primary. I will not vote for him in the general if he were to get there. Hopefully one of the other candidates will be in the general election instead of him, but you know, we'll see.
Primaries matter, people. Get out to vote. My goodness, I'm tired of being the only one in line.
Yeah.
You know, on election day during these off year or month elections.
Yeah, I mean, it's the primary, it's not the general. So now here's the other thing is later on this week, I'm going to try to book them, maybe one tomorrow, maybe one Wednesday. Of course, you and I Thursday are going to be at PJ's Coffee House in O'Fallon, Missouri, up on Route K, doing the show from there. And yes, you can walk in and hang out with us. Come on in, you know, get a cup of coffee from them and maybe something to snack on, or just come in and say hi. And we can do, you know, all kinds of stuff, pictures and shout outs and everything, you name it. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And I'm going to tell you that there are some big names who are going to be stopping by PJ's Coffee House.
Oh yes.
Not telling you who it is now, but I am telling you some big names from the campaign trail are going to be stopping in and hanging out with us as well. So you're going to be able to meet them too.
going to be awesome.
Going to be a lot of fun.
Also, apparently PJ's has all kinds of really cool drinks. Like that. I've been
You've got it up on your computer.
I've been looking at their website. Yes, they have all kinds of cold drinks too. And because I'm okay with a warm coffee in the morning, but after a little while, I want a cooler drink in the summer, right? They have all of it. They got the iced coffees. They got these frozen coffees. They got these and other kind of mixed drinks too, beyond the coffee. So you can pretty much get anything you want to have a refreshment as well as sugar. You sugar rush. That's what I'm looking for right now. I'm so excited to have beignets. It's been a long time.
There you go. And Stell's like side eye, like, and yes, we're bringing you.
Okay,
we're
gonna bring you
bringing you beignets.
Yes,
all right,
absolutely.
Because my beignet place is gone from the Central West End. There was Cafe Ventana by Slew that was on West Pine.
Yeah.
They had awesome beignets there, but they closed.
Oh, that's too bad.
This is my hangout for beignets at PJ's.
I just found out that one of the heritage. Not gonna say maybe it's sort of ethnically, but the Scottish Arms is closing.
Oh golly, yeah.
I found that over the weekend.
Yeah, I think maybe was it yesterday? Was that their last day?
Yesterday or today, one of the two.
Oh
yeah.
man,
I
sorry to hear
place.
that.
I love that place.
Yes,
Talk about a great flight of scotch.
Yeah,
that's some good stuff,
especially for you, Mr. Ferguson.
That's right.
For podcast articles and more, find us on newstalkstl.com. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Missouri has been hijacked by the crooks in Jefferson City. Career politician rhinos sell us out every chance they get. We need real conservative Bill Eigel. Eigel's plan: ban China from owning 1 inch of Missouri land, end personal property tax, and deport every single illegal immigrant in Missouri. Listen to conservative Bill Eigel.
We'll round up illegal immigrants and get rid of them, period. We'll ban Chinese ownership of our land and take back everything they stole. And we'll go by how God made us, not some stupid woke pronouns. They'll call us racist, sexist, God knows what else. And that's how we'll know we're winning.
Conservative Bill Eigel. He'll take on the woke mob, send illegals back where they came from, and stop the Jeff City crooks hijacking Missouri. Conservative Bill Eigel for governor. Believe in Life and Liberty PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this communication. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.billpac.com.
From home improvement to replacement, do-it-yourself electrical projects can be shocking. That's where Grasser Electric can help. They've been lighting up St. Louis for years. From ceiling fans and dimmer switches to repair or replacing your electric. No job is too big or too small for your home or business. Grasser Electric will even install emergency backup generators. So call Grasser Electric today before the sparks start to fly. 636-441-5200 or go to grasserelectric.com.
Tony Colombo here for Cadre Asset Management. A cadre is defined as a small group of people specially trained for a particular purpose or profession, and that is the role that Cadre Asset Management can play in your financial journey. Learn more about how they can help secure your financial future by following Cadre Asset Management on Facebook, or just go to cadreassetmgmt.com.
Cadre Asset Management is a Missouri-based independent advisory firm licensed under and securities and investment advisory services offered through Founders Financial Securities, LLC, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC.
My friend, death is certain. Are you prepared? Larry Connors here. I don't want to scare you, but your funeral plans are an important conversation you need to have with your spouse, family, other loved ones. My friend Benjamin Schaefer at Senior Memorial can help find you an affordable final expense life insurance policy, regardless of your health condition. You could qualify up to $30,000 of lifetime coverage. Life insurance plans with Senior Memorial also offer living benefits towards hearing and diabetic supplies, access to a 24-hour teledoc service, discounts on urns, caskets, tombstones. Call my friend Benjamin at Senior Memorial and discover your legacy at 314-866-8886
or visit memorialplans.com. Memorialplans.com. Senior Memorial Heritage Protection.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning brought to you by Window World. Simply the best for less. 314-993-1800 or visit windowworld.com.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday, 9 to 11, right here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the Morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning people.
You know, one of the things I think we're losing in our society is etiquette.
Yes.
Have you ever been through an etiquette class?
No, I mean, unless you count my mom telling me what to do and being unhappy.
But I mean, like formally having etiquette explained, the traditions, the thing. The only time I had one of those is I had a youth group youth group leader. He wasn't a pastor, who did a Christian etiquette for the youth group, like over the course of, I think it was like a month. He planned it for a month and it was like Christian etiquette. And he did it for 2 or 3 weeks. But I thought I never thought of it. At the time, I'm like, well, this is weird.
Right.
But later on, I'm like, no, there was actually something to that.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I never went through anything, but my mom always talked about Emily Post.
Yeah, right.
Back in the day.
Yeah, there would be the what do you call it? The advice column.
Yeah.
As far as the etiquette. And then there were some schools would do classes in etiquette.
Yes.
So I found like a list that Fox News and the Today Show and some of the others put together summer etiquette tips. And you may say, well, who cares? This is part of a civilized culture, or the things that sort of bind us together without government, without coercion, just the things that we say, this is right and this is wrong. And it's kind of that class that we tend to lose. We've lost a lot of class, I think.
Yeah. And this is how you interact with the rest of society kind of thing. Yeah.
Okay. So let's see if you know anybody or if you have violated any of these summer etiquette rules.
Boy.
By the way,
Mom's going to get mad at me.
That's right. By the way, we are assessing the candidates on their support for your Second Amendment rights. I got Aaron Dorr from American Firearms Association and Missouri Firearms Coalition going to be with us at 8:05, by the way. Okay, so here we are. Summer is wrapping up. Believe it or not, we're already talking about that. We got a month and a half left of summer, officially speaking.
Yeah, August is right around the corner.
Yeah. Okay, so here are some of the summer etiquette rules. This says for the beach, but I think this could probably apply to the pool as well. Don't set up right next to somebody at the beach if there's room to spread out, and don't block their view of the water by setting up right in front of them.
Oh yeah, clearly. Yeah, why would you do that? It's like standing next to me at the urinal.
Oh, don't do that. Yeah,
right.
Don't do that.
It's like who does that?
If there's 5 and somebody's on the far right, you go to the far left.
Yes.
And then somebody else who comes in,
you go in the middle. Yeah.
Somebody else comes in, you wait.
Yeah.
How about in a parking lot where somebody actually you may be the only car in the lot and somebody pulls in, and instead of using one of the other parking spots that are open, they pull in right next to you.
Right next
and
to you.
Close enough so that you can't open your door.
Oh no, even that.
See, here's the thing is, if I can't open my door, I try real hard right into theirs.
You try real hard.
Right into theirs.
Oops.
I'm planning on keeping this car for a long time. I don't care about the resale value. All right. Let's see here. Don't assume it's fun to splash people.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah. I mean, you kind of have to have a sort of gentleman's agreement about that. You got to be in the right friend space to do that, right?
Does that mean don't do cannonballs?
It says that includes cannonballs that splash outside the pool, also splashing someone who's just getting into the pool.
Right. Yes, because they're just getting used to the water.
Yeah.
Why are you going to hit them in the face with the cold?
How about this? Don't blast your music. Now, that's not just the pool or beach. That's like everywhere.
That's everywhere.
Even at a backyard cookout, your neighbors may not want to hear it all day, which I don't know why, because my music's better than everybody else's. Why wouldn't they?
Now, there is an acceptable volume as the host of a party. Like if you're the host of the backyard party, you get to have music, and your neighbors, I mean, you have to be conscious of your neighbors, but don't, I mean,
right.
Hey, neighbors, there's going to be music. It's a party.
I tell you, this is somewhat unrelated, but years ago, I had a part-time job, a weekend job, leasing apartments, which, by the way, I really enjoyed. I just really enjoyed that part-time job. except for you got all the calls of the neighbors acting stupid.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And at one point I got a bunch of calls. Like as soon as I walked in, there were a bunch of messages, and I got in like at 8.
A stack of them,
and they were still coming in. And we had this one apartment with this young guy, and his buddy was a roommate, and basically he was a trust fund baby, and his dad just paid the whole year up front and just gave him the apartment.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he lived like he was in the dorm the whole time.
Exactly.
Oh boy. Well,
he had his music cranked up and blasting, and they were already 3 sheets to the wind by the time I walked over there at 10 minutes after 8.
In the morning?
In the morning.
Oh my gosh.
And I walked around like, hey, Mike, what's going on? And I went, dude, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What? You want a beer? No, I don't want a beer. Turn the music down. Turn it off. What are you doing?
What happens when you don't pay for your own stuff?
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think we ended up throwing the guy out and keeping the money.
Got him.
Well, his buddy, who wasn't supposed to live there, he ran into one car while he was drunk in the parking lot, and then accelerated when he was going to brake and didn't realize which gear he was in, and literally drove through an apartment with his big truck.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
And then don't set off fireworks constantly. The 4th was like literally 3 weeks ago. Stop it. Stop it.
This is St. Louis. That's
well,
that's the game, isn't it?
But are those? But those, to be fair though, those might be gunshots.
Well, that's the St. Louis game. Gunshots
right.
or fireworks. Yeah.
I was playing in South City a week or two ago, and the siren started screeching by, and I'm like, listen, hark, it is the sound of my, it is the song of my people.
The song of my people.
the police cars and ambulances driving by. The song of my people in St. Louis. But can you think of any others?
Oh man, so just general etiquette. Hey, put your clothes on when you go indoors.
When you go indoors?
Yeah. I mean, no shirt, no shoes, no service.
Oh, yeah.
Right? It's like I was just at the pool, I was just at the beach. Put some clothes on.
Have you been to Lake of the Ozarks lately?
Oh, they never wear clothes, do they?
They don't. And they should.
News, analysis, opinion.
She continued to emphasize she's a DEI type of a director.
Members on both sides of the aisle called for her resignation.
1019 and 94.1.
I'm glad she's no longer going to be the head of the Secret Service. I wish she had been fired.
News Talk STL.
Hey, St. Louis golfers, looking for a new golfing experience? Sugar Creek Golf Course was voted the most popular golf course in St. Louis. Book your tee time today at sugarcreekgolfcourse.com and join the fastest growing golf community in town, sugarcreekgolfcourse.com.
Tony Colombo here, along with Tim Jones for Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Rodney and Jen are the #1 home selling team in the area, and I could say that from personal experience. They sold our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible, which put us in a great position as we tried to find our perfect new home. And with help from the Wallners, that's exactly what we did. Christine and I couldn't be happier with our experience working with Rodney and Jen Wallner. And Tim, the numbers speak for themselves.
That's right, Tony. Everybody knows the Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. And if you're looking to sell your home, right now they have so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. They're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the St. Louis region, you can put the Wallners experience and work ethic to work for you. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call Rodney and Jen Wallner now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
Attention voters. The truth about Phil Cristofanelli may surprise you.
As state representative, Phil was endorsed by Promo, a Democrat-led LGBTQIA+ organization with extreme views.
Promo pushes for sex changes for kids, males and girls sports and bathrooms, and teaching gender confusion in schools.
Phil's record speaks for itself.
He voted to allow boys and girls sports.
And pushed to teach sexual orientation and gender identity in public schools.
Is this the leadership we want? Think carefully when you vote.
Paid for by Leadership for America PAC, John Royal, Treasurer.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour at townhall.com. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. Supporters of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro may be celebrating after his claim of victory in yesterday's election. But the U.S. has its doubts, according to Secretary of State Antony Blinken.
We have serious concerns that the result announced does not reflect the will or the votes of the Venezuelan people. It's critical that every vote be counted fairly and transparently. that election officials immediately share information with the opposition and independent observers without delay, and that the electoral authorities publish the detailed tabulation of votes.
Several foreign governments, including the U.S., held off on recognizing those results. A manipulated video that mimics the voice of Vice President Kamala Harris saying things she never really said is raising new concerns about the power of artificial intelligence just months from the November election.
The video gained attention after tech billionaire Elon Musk shared it on his social media platform X on Friday. The video uses many of the same visuals as a real ad the Harris campaign released, but it swaps out the voice over audio with a convincing impersonation. A Harris spokesperson referred to the video as, quote, fake, manipulated lies. AI experts and pro-democracy advocates say the video reveals shortcomings in how AI companies, social platforms, and the federal government regulate the use of AI in politics. Bernie Bennett reporting.
The Federal Reserve is expected to signal this week it will likely reduce borrowing costs as early as September. Jim Bullard is dean of the Daniels School of Business at Purdue University.
I think a lot of households feel like they don't like the higher prices, but the prices aren't going up as fast as they were. So from the Federal Reserve's perspective, that's definitely good news.
It's been 2 years since the Fed launched an aggressive fight against inflation. You'll find more of these stories at townhall.com.
Anyone with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4RELIEF.
What does it take for organizations to triumph? It takes trust. But trust is getting harder and harder to gain, which is why over 2,700 organizations display the ECFA seal. The ECFA seal gives your organization the third-party credibility that people are literally looking for. And in turn, an estimated 14 million givers support ECFA-accredited organizations. Let us help you maintain a trusted reputation.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Scattered storms in spots this morning, a heavy downpour or two with some lightning possible, but that rain fades into the midday and afternoon hours, opening the door to a long stretch of dangerous heat and humidity. Clouds thin this afternoon, temperatures jump into the low and mid 90s. Just a slight chance of a storm this evening and overnight. Most of that's east of us, down to 78 for the low. The worst of the heat runs from Tuesday through Thursday. Highs in the upper 90s, heat index as high as 112. Be careful. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hungry for the best steak you'll ever have? Head to the heart of Moscow Mills and discover Harry J's, a local landmark and family-owned steakhouse, serving up excellence since '98. From mouth-watering appetizers to decadent desserts, Harry J's has something for everyone. Enjoy our extensive bar selection while soaking in our friendly family atmosphere. Whether dine in or carry out, your meal is prepared to perfection. Make the drive to 300 Main Street and treat yourself to a taste of Moscow Mills' finest. Harry J's, more than a steakhouse. We're a tradition.
Tim Jones here with Dr. Pat Fader of Comprehensive Chiropractic. Doc, I hear you all have a new treatment program for everyone's chronic knee pain.
Tim, that's right. We are helping patients with chronic knee pain by addressing the root cause of their condition.
And what makes your program so unique?
Well, Tim, many programs focus on just one component of the problem, the structural component. Our program focuses on the metabolic and neurologic component to complete the picture and improve our patients' outcomes. We get to the root cause of what is driving inflammation in a person's body and address it directly.
For your chronic knee pain and more, visit cchiropractic.com. All information, make an appointment at cchiropractic.com.
Mike Ferguson.
Are you pretending to be crazy?
Gabe Pfeiffer.
There's something serious I have to tell you about the future.
Get up, St. Louis.
We let's knock it off.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! Get up! This is your cousin
All right, when you decide who you're voting for, who you're voting against on the 6th, I mean, we're talking a week from Thursday is the primary election on the Missouri side.
Sneaking up on you.
Coming up there, know who and what you're voting for, and especially when you look at the race for governor, the race for lieutenant governor, they set the tone for the state government.
A week from Tuesday. You said
I'm sorry,
Thursday.
week from Tuesday. Yes, week from Tuesday. So
Okay.
Week from tomorrow. Thank you.
Right.
Week from tomorrow is the primary election, which, by the way, you can vote now, by the way.
Yeah.
Early voting is open. You still got to bring your ID. You got to do all the same stuff, but you can vote early right now. Just contact your local election board or your county clerk, whatever you have where you are, and you can vote right now if you want. Of course, when it comes to the statewide races, when it comes to the state legislative races, we need to know where these people stand on your Second Amendment rights. And nobody tracks that to the extent that the Missouri Firearms Coalition and, of course, the American Firearms Association does. And we got Aaron Dorr with us right now, who, by the way, you can hear every weekend now here on News Talk STL as well. So, Aaron, appreciate you being on. Let's start with the governor's race. I mean, basically, we've got a whole bunch of people on the ticket or on the ballot, but we've got Mike Kehoe, Jay Ashcroft, Bill Eigel. And when you've evaluated these three, what did you come up with when it comes to specifically where they stand on the Second Amendment and gun-related issues in general?
Yeah, good morning, Mike. Thanks a lot for the time. The good news is all three candidates in this race have surveyed with the Missouri Firearms Coalition 100% pro-gun. That's the good news. From there, you have to break it down further. And the truth is that in the Senate, Mike Kehoe was always trying to slow roll pro-gun bills. He worked his tail off to block constitutional carry back in 2016, and he did not help us at all as he tried to pass SAPA in Missouri in 2021. So while he has surveyed pro-gun, Kehoe's been a problem and an obstacle when it comes to gun rights for a long time here in Missouri. Of course, last night the news came out. He got a great big donation from Bill Gates' son, Rory Gates, who's close friends with George Soros' son, Alex. So you have to begin to wonder when globalists who hate the Second Amendment are giving money to candidates like Mike Kehoe. That's just never really a good thing. That's a big red flag for gun owners. When it comes to Jay Ashcroft, again, 100% on survey, but he hasn't had the position career-wise to show us how he'd act under pressure. Nothing against Jay Ashcroft at all when it comes to his overall gun position, but we haven't seen him tested. And when it comes to Bill Eigel, 100% on survey, but more importantly, Bill has been there and done that. He's fought for 8 years in Jeff City against the rhinos, 8 years against the media. No offense, guys. 8 years against the Democrats who've been trying to kill pro-gun bills. He was a warrior on the floor for SAPA in 2021, lead sponsor this year in our bill to ban red flag gun seizures and led the fight to pass or try to pass IP reform as well. We have seen Bill under fire, and he's always held the line for gun rights.
I just want to point out that when you say no offense to us in the media, that's you now, dude.
You've got your... Apparently it is. Yeah. Shall not be infringed every Sunday at 9. You're right, Mike.
Good morning, Aaron. Gabe Pfeiffer here. You got him. but are there any other candidates we should be worried about in statewide offices who may be a little less friendly to gun rights than we would expect?
I can think of somebody, but I wonder who Aaron's going to talk about.
Yeah, his name rhymes with Lincoln Huff. And for anybody who is watching the lieutenant governor's race, yeah, I can't help but mention this. I just have to. So the National Rifle Association comes out and gives all these candidates an A. They gave Lincoln Huff an A. And that's the problem that we have with out-of-state national groups that have no idea what's actually happening here in Missouri, giving candidates A's like a kid on Christmas morning. So Lincoln Huff in the Senate voted against Stand Your Ground law on February 10, 2022, in case you're curious, in the committee. He voted to protect the ability to pass red flag laws. He voted for red flag laws just last year, Senate Bill 10 in the committee on March 29, 2023. This guy has always voted with the Democrats, with the rhinos to weaken or block our gun rights. And yet he's trumpeting right now his A. So everyone should know Lincoln Huff is an enemy to gun rights. He always has been. And that's not changing just because he becomes lieutenant governor if he, in fact, is elected.
You see, here's the problem with everything that you're telling us right now with this, Aaron, is that NRA rating, that's what's going to go before hundreds of thousands of voters across the state. I mean, people who don't, are not within, range of our show, who don't do their homework as diligently as they should. They're going to hear that and go, oh, well, he's a pro Second Amendment guy, and not realize everything else that you just said. because people aren't going to dig enough. So, I mean, how important is it? And we talked a couple hours ago with Tim Jones talking about all the problems with Lincoln Huff and all of his leftist stuff on other issues as well. And what we see in the ads and on the billboards are just a complete misrepresentation of where this guy actually stands. So it's going to be hard to get people to go, well, I'm really going to pay attention to this lieutenant governor's race, when really they need to do that.
Yeah, I mean, gun owners have got to become suspicious again. We can no longer take somebody's rating from an out-of-state organization at face value. You can't take the candidate half the time at face value. You've got to do the digging on your own and find out. When it comes to Lincoln Huff, he is an enemy to gun owners, and he has been for a long time. Of course, we have videos on all of these races on all of our social media platforms, YouTube, X, Facebook, Rumble, and of course our website, MissouriFirearmsCoalition.org. And then look for the elections tab. We break down all of these races for everybody in minute detail.
Okay, let me follow up a little bit more on the lieutenant governor's race. So there are a number of people in there, but when you look at, for instance, David Wassinger and Holly Rader, I would say those are the other two relevant candidates. I mean, there are other people I think are probably good people in there, but that's really who we're talking about is Lincoln Huff, Holly Rader, and David Wassinger. What do we know about the other two main candidates?
Yeah, both Wassinger and Rader have surveyed 100% with the Missouri Firearms Coalition. Wassinger is endorsed by Congressman Eric Burleson, but he has no, actual history in Jefferson City, so it's hard to measure that. Holly, of course, has been there for, I think it was 8 years in the House and now for the Senate. She's been a pro-gun vote the entire time. So both Wassinger and Rader, 100% on survey, and having the exact opposite perspective on gun rights from Lincoln Huff.
Aaron, turning our attention now to the national, Kamala Harris says that we must renew the assault weapons ban. Is the left running on gun control in 2024, or you think they might back off of that because of all of the other issues they've been having, particularly in the law and order department?
Well, if Kamala becomes their nominee, then I think they're going to run on her entire psychotic left-wing crazy agenda. And to these people, it's not shocking. It's not crazy. It's not unusual. They want all of us disarmed. They always have. Kamala is perhaps the worst of the worst when it comes to this kind of stuff. And yeah, she'll campaign on gun control if she's the nominee for sure.
Yeah, but here's the thing is we talked about the younger voters. They must have those younger voters. Younger voters haven't figured out, in many cases, they haven't figured out the importance of the Second Amendment. That might be a winning strategy for them. So we've got to win the hearts and the minds of these younger voters on the issue itself before we can beat them when it comes to the campaigns and the candidates on it.
Yeah, I agree with that. The younger voters, in my opinion, are either far more in support of gun control or far more pro-gun. There's a lot less middle ground these days than there was, say, 10, 15 years ago on a lot of issues, to be honest. You're either more in favor of this or far more opposed to it, whatever it is, than you were in the past. It's a good thing when it comes to gun rights. In certain states, it's a bad thing in different states. We'll see how that plays out in the elections later on this fall.
All right, Aaron, and you're also breaking things down with all the state legislative races as well. I mean, we've got a number of pretty hotly contested state rep races, state Senate races as well. Where do we find what you're doing on that? And is there one or two that really jumps out at you, particularly on the Republican side, regarding Second Amendment issues?
Yeah, I think, again, we have done breakdown videos on about 30 races across the state. You can find all that information on the Missouri Firearms Coalition's Twitter page, X, whatever you want to call it, Facebook, YouTube, and our website. So all the race breakdowns are out there. And yeah, locally, I would say the race between Adam Schnelting and Phil Cristofanelli is a hot topic right now in the listening audience. Yeah, Cristofanelli, to my knowledge, I don't think he ever co-sponsored or sponsored a gun bill in Jeff City. He may have co-sponsored SEPA because, frankly, 90 or so people co-sponsored SEPA, so that doesn't really count a whole lot, but never really fought for gun rights at all during his time in the House. And Adam Schnelting has been there and done that, leading the fight to pass legislation to get rid of deadly gun-free zones in the state, a constant voice for gun voters. So the Schnelting race, you've got a really big difference there for sure.
All right, and let's once again give out that web information. I think we've already tagged you on our social media, right, Gabe? We already tagged you.
Yep,
we already tagged you on our social media, but where do people find this? Because your videos, just so everybody knows, really detailed as well. So you can get in there. That's a lot of work that went into those. So I hope people do check them out. So where do they find it?
Yeah, our Twitter page is MO Firearms 2A. Check us out there on X. You can find us on all the rest of the platforms, our Facebook page as well. And the website, MissouriFirearmsCoalition.org. The elections tab gives you breakdowns on all the candidates, how they surveyed or did not survey with the Missouri Firearms Coalition.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon. And of course, like you said, the brand new show that happens every weekend right here on News Talk STL as well. It's what's called what shall not be infringed.
Yeah, shall not be infringed, 9 o'clock on Sundays.
Great. Good stuff. Thanks, Aaron. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Aaron.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Let's dump some news on you here in just a couple of minutes. And 8:35, everybody's got thoughts on the opening ceremonies of the Olympics.
Yes, they have thoughts.
I mean, people have wide range of emotions on this as well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a lot of people that said, you are attacking my faith.
Right.
And honestly, to some degree, I think that's true.
Arguably true.
Other cases, I thought, I'm not sure that was, but that sure was.
Right.
And I think we all know what that was.
Yeah.
Basically, should we be condescendingly looking down on the French right now?
You mean more than I already do?
Yeah. Say you have good pastries but bad morals.
Yeah. Well, then nothing's changed.
There you go. Precisely. Let's talk about that. 8:35 here. 119-94.1 News Talk STL.
Watch us on our live stream using Rumble, Facebook, and Twitter. Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
During the COVID years, I was very disappointed by weak leadership dictating COVID tyranny and ridiculous, nonsensical rules. We had lost over 300,000 school days in St. Charles County that the children will never get back. The closing of businesses and mandates were unconstitutional and complete government overreach. I will always fight for your constitutional rights and your God-given freedoms and liberty. I'm Joe Brazel, and I'm running for St. Charles County Council District 2. Vote August 6th. Thank you, and I approve this message.
Paid for by citizens for Joe Brazel, Mike Summers, Treasurer.
Stop what you're doing and listen to this. Your God-given freedoms are up for the taking, and those doing the taking are the same people who've sworn to defend your freedom. They think they can control the media, hide the truth, and force their delusions onto your family. You know what they can't take away? Self-reliance, peace of mind. Got water filtration? You should. A charged solar generator? You better. Emergency food on your shelf? Get it now from My Patriot Supply. My Patriot Supply is the most trusted name in survival, and for damn good reason, too. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now and save $200 on their best-selling 3-month emergency food kit. It delivers over 2,000 calories per day, plus sealed inside practically unpierceable packaging. It lasts up to 25 years. Oh, and did I mention it's delicious? Go to MyPatriotSupply.com and save $200 per kit. Includes fast and free shipping. That's MyPatriotSupply.com.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Live and local.
Listen to what those local folks are telling you.
News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Larry Connors. Make sure you're listening later today at 6 o'clock on News Talk STL for my show, Larry Connors USA. Now, back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Oh, life is bigger.
All right, another police department is shutting down. Also, no, Donald Trump did not endorse your favorite candidate for Missouri governor, sort of.
Yeah.
Kind of,
Yeah.
sort of. I'll explain. And what did we learn over the weekend, everybody?
France is dumb.
Yeah. Maybe the French are a bunch of perverts?
Yes.
All right. That's all in the news dump and beyond.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The morning news dump.
All right, starting off on a much more serious note here, Israel has hit back against Hezbollah, and that is after a rocket attack killed 12 Israeli children and wounded dozens of others over the weekend. The IDF said on Sunday that they hit 7 targets in Lebanon with rockets of their own. Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican out of South Carolina, you probably knew that. He was on CBS's Face the Nation, reacting not just to the attacks, but he says he's actually concerned that Iran could be close to getting its hands on a nuclear weapon. And he was citing a report that the U.S. Senate received last week that he calls, in his words, stunning.
I am very worried that not only you could open up a second front, but they could use these 3 or 4 months before our election to sprint to a nuclear weapon. and we have to put them on notice that cannot happen.
Well, I mean, how would Iran be able to have the resources to do that? Oh, yeah, we just released what, $6+ billion to them over the past several, 6-7 months. So they've got the cash on hand to do whatever they want.
Yeah. And I guess which administration authorized that?
Yeah, precisely. All right. President Biden is planning to introduce, according to multiple reports, a Supreme Court reform proposal, a set of laws that would introduce term limits for Supreme Court justices, along with what they call an enforceable code of ethics. Congressman Jeff Van Drew, Republican out of New Jersey, was on Fox News Live responding to that, saying this is nothing but political pandering.
And there have always been decisions that either Republicans didn't like or Democrats didn't like or both didn't like, but that's part of it. They are an independent body and they should be so. What this president, Joe Biden, is trying to do, in essence, is destroy the Supreme Court. His administration, the people around him, the far left, have no respect for the rule of law.
This is one of those things that we could easily, Gabe, say, don't worry about it. It's not going anywhere. Even if it did, the Supreme Court's going to strike it down, which is true at the moment. But remember, the political science of things is you introduce it, it's ignored, and then it's laughed off, and then it's ridiculed and killed. And then eventually somebody says, well, we got to actually talk about it. And then someday, if you're persistent enough, you pass it. Now, that may be 30 years down the road.
Oh, yeah. Oddly enough, the at least the powers that be behind the leftists in government have a very long plan that they've been executing pretty much at will for many decades, and we're seeing the fruits of that now. We can't just laugh this stuff off anymore.
Well, here's the thing, and when you look at how insidious this proposal is, I mean, and this is coming completely from the left. Listen, there are decisions that I don't like.
Sure.
The U.S. Supreme Court. There were some this year that I didn't like. There are some that the left doesn't like. There are liberal majorities. There are conservative majorities. It swings back and forth over time. Right now, it happens to be a constructionist, textualist conservative majority at the moment. So what's happening is that one branch, really two branches. You've got the Democrats in the Congress, and you've got the president saying we can't control that one. We want to eliminate it from being a check and balance on us.
Right.
The Constitution lays out the Supreme Court, and it is not up for the president or Congress to say, we're going to put you in check. How is the Supreme Court checked and balanced by the executive and by the Congress? Because the president nominates the justices, the Senate must confirm them. That's a check and balance on there. And then the rest of that, they have to be independent, even when I don't like their rulings on this. So court packing, term limits is really one of the worst ideas they could possibly come up with. But then also when they say an enforceable set of rules, that makes the Supreme Court subservient to the president and Congress and makes it more political. Whereas for the most part, the Supreme Court has been policy oriented and less political. I'm not saying they never get political, but it's less political than the other two.
See, the judiciary is a co-equal branch,
right.
So imagine the executive trying to, the president has an executive order talking about the ethics of Congress. Imagine how that would fly over, right?
Exactly.
It's like, it doesn't make any sense. So obviously this is a massive constitutional power play that needs to be squashed in its infancy.
Yes, precisely. All right, Senator J.D. Vance, as you would know him now, the Republican vice presidential nominee, responding to criticism over his comments where he has called members of the Democratic Party childless cat ladies. The childless cat lady contingent is not happy with this.
Oh man. Now, okay. Now here's the thing. I know many people, many women who don't have children, who are perfectly reasonable individuals. The problem is,
do they have cats?
There is yes.
So they're childless cat ladies.
There's a childless cat lady, but perfectly reasonable and actually pretty conservative individuals. But the thing is, when you look at the majority of the childless cat ladies, they kind of crazy. I mean, here's the thing: is he wrong?
So, okay, I think that part of this he was wrong about. Part of it, I think he's right about. For instance, he says leaders without children do not have a direct stake in the future of the country. I disagree with that. I think he's wrong about that. I don't think that people with families and with children should have more say than any other citizen. But I do think that you have a different perspective on things than just being single. So he was on Fox's Sunday Night in America, and he says the point that he was trying to make is that the Democrats are essentially becoming anti-family.
They've encouraged young families not to have children at all because of concerns over climate change. They've suggested that people who do have children are somehow being selfish, when I think being a parent is actually the most selfless thing that you can do.
Okay, and on that, I think he's 100% right.
Absolutely. Now, I think he needs to work on his messaging just a wee bit, because while yes, you're going to get the he owned them sort of reactions from certain sectors of the right, you're also potentially alienating of a potential voter base, particularly in young people who still have a chance to be to get into family formation. You want to appeal to them and say, you know what, family formation is a good thing. Don't listen to these crazy folks on the left.
Yep. All right. Another North County Police Department is disbanding. Another one. The Calverton Park Police Department will cease to exist on Thursday.
Man,
as in completely dismantled, doesn't exist anymore as of 12:01 a.m. Thursday. Chief Sean Gibbons says they've lost 3 of their 4 officers to other departments that pay more money, have better benefits. Mayor James Panovich says in a statement, the city just does not have the money to continue having its own police department. So for the time being, Florissant is going to provide police services. Calverton Park is the 3rd North County Police Department to disband in recent months. And if you read down in the articles a little bit, here's another thing that was interesting that I didn't realize. Calverton Park, during all the shutdowns, had to end up taking out a loan from the county government just to continue their operations, not just police, but as a city. So Calverton Park actually owes St. Louis County a lot of money, excuse me, because all the shutdowns crushed them so much. So we've got a residual of Sam Page's dictatorial shutdowns in the county, because they were starved of revenue because Sam Page decided to shut everybody's life and business and government down.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. Now, Calverton Park is a very, very small community. It's maybe 5 or 6 neighborhoods and one tiny strip mall with like 3 stores in it. So that whole store, their whole seat of revenue was destroyed.
Right.
It's only about 1,300 people.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Tiny.
Exactly.
Pretty
small.
And they took out a loan of like $200,000, which, I mean, that's less than my house.
Yeah.
But for a city that has to operate city services, that's a lot of money.
It is.
And it's actually due in September. And they're asking the county government, can we put that off until next year to give us more time to get payments? And one of the ways they're doing that is reducing costs by getting rid of the police department. This is the 3rd police department in North County that's disbanded in the past 7-8 months.
One of the problems with North County is that there are a million these tiny municipalities. They're all trying to run their own government, their own services, and it's just I don't think it's very good. I think some of these need to consolidate. I think they have a co-op.
They have
right?
a police co-op, which is a good idea.
That's a good idea.
It's some have come and gone in that, but the co-op concept is a good idea. Where I live, which is not North County, but Brentwood and Richmond Heights and Maplewood, we all share a Parks and Rec department. So there's a co-op for that. So there's nothing to stop cities from cooperating like that. And more of them, I think, should do that.
Absolutely.
By the way, gas prices coming down across the country. The national average now $3.58 a gallon for regular unleaded. Trilby Lundberg of the Lundberg survey says it is possible that gas prices could continue to go down in the coming weeks.
Exactly how much retail prices might continue dropping will depend mostly, as usual, on what crude oil prices do. Prices are down at the moment, but they've been meandering up and down for quite some time.
I saw $3.33 this morning, and I think it was $3.29 when I filled up in where was I when I filled up? I think I was in Wentzville. I think no, I was in Chesterfield when I filled up on the way back yesterday. It was like $3.29.
seem to be a lot of 319s and 329s in the area.
I saw 333 this morning on the way in. The lowest is 295 a gallon in Jackson, Mississippi. The highest, San Francisco, 469. All right, the Cardinals lose the series, but at least they avoid being swept by the Nationals at home. Ryan Helsley ended up with the win in the 4-3 game. Wilson Contreras and Paul Goldschmidt both had home runs. Goldie, by the way, walked it off in the bottom of the 9th inning with his home run. Redbirds begin the series at home against the defending world champions. Tonight's game against the Rangers starts at 6:45.
Like us on Facebook at News Talk STL. Get up. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Oh no, I've said too much. I set it up. That's me in the corner. That's me in the spotlight, losing my religion.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Scattered storms in spots this morning, a heavy downpour or two with some lightning possible, but that rain fades into the midday and afternoon hours, opening the door to a long stretch of dangerous heat and humidity. Clouds thin this afternoon, temperatures jump into the low and mid 90s. Just a slight chance of a storm this evening and overnight. Most of that's east of us, down to 78 for the low. The worst of the heat runs from Tuesday through Thursday. Highs in the upper 90s, heat index as high as 112. Be careful. That's your first alert forecast. I'm meteorologist Matt Chambers.
Fox News commentary.
It's bad enough we have to suffer through Operation Kamala Coconut Tree Brat Summer, but now the Olympics has to go woke and weird too? I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. And one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
Come to the conclusion that there is nothing left for normal people anymore. So I guess we shouldn't be surprised that the Olympics based in France would give us such a bizarre and blasphemous opening ceremony. According to Paris organizers, the objectively odd opening ceremony with a bearded lady man, drag queens, a naked blue man, and the clear mockery of the Last Supper, well, it wasn't intended to offend anyone, but rather to celebrate community tolerance. Something tells me that if Islam was mocked like Christianity was with that opening ceremony, it would be a much different story. But you know, I stopped caring about the Olympics when American athletes started kneeling or otherwise disrespecting our country, so I never planned to watch anyway. No offense to the members of Team USA who are proudly representing our great country, but I'm going to take a pass on Paris. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
I am an atheist. I really am a liberal, but I'm also a conservative.
No matter your side.
I'm a Democrat. I'm just a bit angry, frustrated conservative.
No matter your inclination.
I'm probably a liberal, maybe more in the middle.
We are here for your place to talk about it.
I'm the progressive liberal Democrat that you said is afraid to call you. St. Louis is #1 for conservative talk. I'm sure we'll have a robust conversation.
News Talk STL.
When it comes to making the right investments in your home, maintaining your home, improving its strength, because the fact of the matter is that over time, you've got to put the work into your home to keep it solid, to keep it beautiful, to keep it valuable. And one of the ways to do that is to make sure that you've got Window World windows installed in them. Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Window World. Simply the best for less. The two keywords there, best and less. You can call them right now at 314-993-1800 and talk to one of your fellow St. Louisans in Earth City. When I say invest in your home, there are some things you can buy and say, just get the cheapest thing and it's fine. I'm talking about paper towels or something like that. But when you're talking about the windows, you want the best windows you can get. Not only are they the double strength glass, not only do they exceed all of the Energy Star recommendations and standards, but they have that lifetime warranty. So these windows are warranted for the life of your home, meaning that's even transferable to the next owner. So imagine that you're ready to sell your home someday, or you're looking at fixing up a home and looking to flip it or invest in something, and you're able to hand them that warranty that says these windows are guaranteed for the life of that home. That goes a long way. And over 70,000 homes in St. Louis have Window World windows in them, and that lifetime warranty covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. And here's the thing with Window World, here's what's so unique about them, because we're talking about a company that makes windows, but they make them right here in the United States. They get them from Iowa. They custom make them for your home. You don't go to the home improvement store and just pick out a window and then have to find a way to, retrofit your house into that window and hope that it's somewhat energy efficient. You get a window that is custom fit for your home and is energy efficient and is going to save you money on your utilities, because those costs are only going to go up over time. So make sure that you have something protecting you from those increases. Once again, 314-993-1800. And by the way, when I say what's really special about them is that they get about half of their new customers who are referred to them by their current and past customers. In other words, somebody says, oh, I've got to get some new windows, and they are told, you've got to call Window World. I had a wonderful experience with them. Call them at 314-993-1800. So call them today. Ask them the questions, whatever you have, saying, here's what I'm thinking about doing. They'll answer your questions over the phone. But then what I'd encourage you to do is set up that free in-home estimate. No high pressure. They don't operate like that. They're going to treat you with respect, try to be in and out in about 45 minutes, including all the measurements in the quote. And then they just let you do it on your own time because it's your home. And they are very proud of their reputation here in St. Louis. Look at their ratings on Yelp. Look at them on the Better Business Bureau. You're going to see they go out of their way to make sure that they are doing right by you and taking care of you, not just because it's good business, but because these are good people who are doing the right thing. 314-993-1800. Tell them Mike was talking about them on the radio. And remember, Window World windows, they are the preferred windows of the St. Louis Blues.
Man, what a great party you're throwing here. This wasp nest is great.
Yeah, man, we got about 70 wasps in here.
Too bad we can't fit any more wasps in here. It looks like they're having fun outside, stinging all the kids. Oh, man, who just pulled up?
Oh, no, it's the pest control company again with those green wheels. They seem to kill every one of my parties.
This is Derek, the owner of All Solutions Pest Control. Give us a call today at 636-486-7888. Learn more about our special $67 offer. You can visit us online at allsolutionspestcontrol.com.
If a pest-free home is your goal, call All Solutions Pest Control.
St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk.
I don't know where I would get the truth if it weren't for you.
Live and local.
Welcome to the People's Republic of America stand. Here comes another roller coaster, another circus.
This is News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Carl Higbee, host of Frontline on Newsmax TV, and you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
I just want to give everybody a chance to really sound off on this Olympic opening ceremonies thing. Mm-hmm. There's always a controversy that happens in the Olympics, something. One of the most recent ones is there was one country whose judo competitor refused to shake hands with the Israeli competitor, and there's always that kind of crap that happens
every time. Casual anti-Semitism
stuff like that. But of course they started off on a weird foot with the opening ceremonies, and by foot I mean high heels being worn by dudes in beards.
Yes,
really strange. But that wasn't the only thing though. So I'm when I see the outrage that's happening, I get it. When I see, a lot of people on the left going, you people are so dumb. That's not even what it was. They're just gaslighting.
Yes,
absolutely. They're just gaslighting, period. Yes. But I'm also wanting to kind of remind everybody, if all you're focused on is that Last Supper parody that they did, there's so much more to look at and say, boy, that was in terrible taste as well.
Yeah.
Now, what you do with it is up to you.
Right.
I mean, there are some people absolutely livid and furious and outraged. I'm not going to try to talk you down from that ledge. Other than there's some people that were outraged over one part of it that I don't think you're quite. I don't see the connection. I think it's a stretch.
Yeah.
The horse on the river.
Yeah,
that was
the white horse.
Yeah,
right?
the white horse on the river, and the whoever it was dressed up in the knight in shining armor and had the Olympic flag on there. Immediately, I saw a bunch of people saying, "This is out of Revelation. This is the
horsemen of death.
horsemen of the death from the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse." And look, it's Lucifer's wings. And I'm going,
oh my gosh,
don't give him that much credit.
Yeah,
No,
I'm like, guys, yeah, that's a knight in shining armor's pretty widespread. I think that might be a stretch.
Yeah,
that one I'm not sure about.
A lot of people have, or a lot of imagery of the white horse has been used in a lot of ways.
It's not exclusive to the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and the pale
Right.
horse.
Yeah.
So that one, I'm not really sure that's. I'm not sure you're right about that one. If you're really angry about that, I mean, I guess it could be, but when I first saw somebody saying that, I'm like, I don't know about that one.
Now, if they were playing music from Aphrodite's Child from their 666 album
There you
at the
go.
same time, I would have said, okay, I
That
see the
may-
tie.
okay, yeah. I would get it then. Yes.
Okay, so let's look at some other stuff that was on there. Obviously, we'll get to the Last Supper thing. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody sang Imagine, John Lennon's Imagine,
Mhm.
which is truly one of the most god-awful songs
I hate that song so
ever.
much.
I cannot stand that
Mhm.
song. If you listen to the lyrics, it is truly awful.
Yeah,
That is a
it's-
terrible song.
It's kind of a weird atheist communist manifesto.
It really is. I mean, that's exactly what it is.
It is.
Set to music.
Set the music.
The
Yes.
song sucks. It is horrible.
Boo.
Okay, so that's exactly what Rachel said.
Oh, yeah?
Except she put the thumbs down and she went, boo. That's how Rachel does. You can
Yes.
picture boo.
Boo.
So that song's awful. Celine Dion, which was remarkable.
Yep.
Because she's got these health problems,
Mhm.
and
This is her first performance, I think, after that
since
diagnosis.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was, I don't know if she was singing live or if that was recorded, but she was there, and that was nice.
Doing her thing.
There was the heavy metal band that I frankly had never heard of, but as heavy metal bands go, they were pretty good.
You're all right. Okay.
They were singing along a duet with a beheaded Maria Antoinette.
Well, I
which
suppose
was strange.
I suppose that's metal.
It kind of is. And then at the very end, so they had this opera singer who floated by to sing an operatic part with the heavy metal band. And I know that sounds weird to Americans, but hear me out. In Europe and in Scandinavia, that's the heavy metal scene right now.
Yeah, it's got operatic aspects to it. Yeah.
What you do is you got the heavy metal band and the guy who growls, and then you have a pretty female singer who can do opera.
Yeah.
And that's like the thing right now.
Sure.
I mean, if you look at the music videos they make, you cannot go into the mountains or the woods without running into a Celtic or Nordic metal band with an opera singer. They're everywhere
in the woods there.
in the woods.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, you trip on the streets of Glasgow, you fall down on top of a metal band with an opera singer. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but she was floating by, and that's like, okay, that's European metal. And then they had like red stuff blowing up everywhere out of the and by the way, that building where that band was playing, that's where Marie Antoinette was imprisoned. That was actually where she was imprisoned.
The actual place.
So
yeah.
I can't decide if that's like just super kick-ass metal or if that was like a weird nod to the French Revolution, which by the way wasn't really that great of a thing if you look at the history. But whatever, you do you guys, you're French, you're weird. It's your culture there, your history, you want to do it. But let's talk about the Last Supper thing.
Yeah.
And 314-912-1019. If you have some thoughts on this, we got a lot of people commenting on social media as well here. There were drag queens just everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Singing, dancing.
Yeah. Sticking their butt up in the air of the camera and
Yeah.
crawling, whatever. And that's gross enough.
Mhm.
I mean, but it's like if they just had one or two alongside everybody else, it's like, okay, there's your nod to the LGBT stuff, whatever. It was everywhere.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at this going, first of all, why am I looking at this?
Yeah.
But secondly, it clearly wasn't a matter of we're going to do a nod to everybody. This was a message.
Absolutely a message. Well, and what's funny too is, even if it were a woman, like an actual woman performing this way, I would have found that gross. I would have found it's like, okay, this is kind of overly sexual for an opening ceremony for a sporting event. It's like that would be weird if it was an actual woman. But now you put a guy in women face, and doing the whole thing, and it makes it 10 times worse.
I never thought of it that way. If these were actual women dressed that way, dancing that way, the Olympic Committee would be apologizing all over themselves for the misogyny,
the sexism
of basically having strippers gyrating in the opening ceremonies. Would they not?
Yeah. And they took the typical cop out anyway, because afterwards they decide to ask for forgiveness. It's the typical, don't ask for permission ahead of time. Just go ahead and do it. And then, if there's any backlash, we'll ask for forgiveness then.
To be fair, I kind of live my life like that to some degree. just ask our bosses.
Now, of course, their apology was kind of the standard non-apology. It was like, well, I'm sorry you took it that way.
Right.
Kind of thing. Or, I'm sorry you're offended.
We didn't intend it to be that way.
Yeah.
We did.
I'm sorry. I think you did.
Well, and then they did admit that it was a send up of the Last Supper. So there's a lot of people, even right now, saying, you people are so dumb. Don't you know anything about the Feast of Dionysus or Bacchus? And there are paintings that show something like that. And the guy painted blue, who was like wearing basically nothing.
A diaper.
And man, if you're going to wear nothing on national TV, do some sit-ups. Something. But anyway, I digress.
You digress.
And but that was portraying Bacchus.
You body positive.
Right. I know. I'm in better shape than that guy, but I'm not doing that.
Right.
But that was portraying Bacchus.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. That's exactly what it was.
Sure.
And they say that was the Feast of Dionysus. Okay. So people are like, you're not even getting it right. But here's the thing and I'm saying this because it's context to the skit. The morbidly obese woman who played the Jesus character of the scene
in the painting,
and I don't know. I mean, she is so morbidly obese, and I'm not insulting her. I'm just saying that was clearly a reason she was picked.
That was a choice.
I don't know why.
She may show up in Sports Illustrated for all we know.
That's true. Yeah,
yeah.
And she had the halo on and everything like that. In her Instagram, because apparently she's a LGBT activist of some kind,
of course.
And she basically said, yes, the New Gay Testament,
right,
over that picture. And the organizers and the producers have acknowledged publicly.
Well, we took inspiration from it's like,
that this was a parody of the Last Supper.
Yeah, by Leonardo.
So Leonardo da Vinci. And so when you look at that, Christians around the world, and the Americans, we're getting blamed for it, but don't forget it's Christians around the world, including Christians and Catholics in France, angry within seconds of this. So they backtracked a little bit. Was it mocking the Christian faith? Yeah, I think it was.
Clearly.
The painting is not part of the Christian canon. I mean, you can mock whatever you want. It was just a stupid idea to do it. And it shows what their opinions are, what billions of people believe around the world.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting too is it's entirely possible that they did not see it as mocking. That they said it was like, well, it's an homage. It's like we're making an inclusive version of your thing. We're trying to include your imagery in the stuff that we do. Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
You could almost catch that from because they're just so dyed in the wool in their own ideology that they think that is inclusion. They think basically throwing their version of our imagery back at us is inclusive.
And the only way to get to that point from reality is to have an incredibly perverted view of morals, ethics, sexuality, because that wasn't the only thing. My wife actually caught this. I didn't see it. Apparently in one of the dance numbers, and I walked in apparently right after this. I didn't see it because I got there while the thing was going on. There was an homage and I guess a promotion of polyamory.
Oh yeah.
Some people went, oh, it was just a, wink and a nod to a threesome.
Oof.
But Rachel said, no, in France, that's a very big, they're very pro polyamorous.
Yeah. They're pushing it.
They're
big
pushing
time.
it hard. And so there was a nod to that. And they went on later to say, well, the love is love thing, I got some thoughts on it because I have a few more. 314-912-1019. We're going to wrap up here with this. Still getting a lot of comments on this on Rumble and Facebook and all the others. We'll talk about it right here. 1019-94.1 News Talk STL. There's plenty more to roll your eyes at.
Okay. Yeah.
Follow us on Rumble at News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Like a child out at home. Missouri has been hijacked by the crooks in Jefferson City.
Career politician rhinos sell us out every chance they get. We need real conservative Bill Eigel. Eigel's plan: ban China from owning 1 inch of Missouri land, end personal property tax, and deport every single illegal immigrant in Missouri. Listen to conservative Bill Eigel.
We'll round up illegal immigrants and get rid of them, period. We'll ban Chinese ownership of our land and take back everything they stole. And we'll go by how God made us, not some stupid woke pronouns. They'll call us racist, sexist, God knows what else. And that's how we'll know we're winning.
Conservative Bill Eigel. He'll take on the woke mob, send illegals back where they came from, and stop the Jeff City crooks hijacking Missouri. Conservative Bill Eigel for governor. Believe in Life and Liberty PAC paid for and is responsible for the content of this communication. Not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.billpac.com.
Digging without having your underground utilities marked is like driving with your eyes closed. It's dangerous and irresponsible. Before you break ground, contact Missouri 811 online or simply call 811 to request a utility locate 3 working days before starting. Missouri 811 will coordinate with the utility companies who will clearly mark their lines so you can avoid the hazards. Requesting a locate is smart and it's the law. Safety is in your hands. Every dig, every time. This ad is brought to you by Missouri 811.
On the next
Larry Connors USA.
Hans von Spakovsky. Can Biden give all the money he got to Harris? Is that legal?
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me for the Right Mind Show on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this wacky radio station. You know, and speaking of wacky, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, Vic Borselli coming your way here in just over 10 minutes. 314-912-1019 is number to get involved in the conversation here. Okay, a couple other things about these Olympic opening ceremonies.
Yeah.
And I would say, you know, am I going to boycott the Olympics? I don't watch them anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
There has been a woke element to them for, you know, quite a while. And there's always a little bit of politics in them. I just don't enjoy them the way I used to. I'm not like angry about them. I don't boycott. I just lost interest in them.
Mm-hmm.
But they did bring a lot of attention to themselves. But there were other things in there. Some of them were pretty cool. You know, of course, they've got the river Seine running right through Paris. And so instead of like all the teams marching around in the big stadium, they had them all in a boat and the teams went by, the Olympic teams went by on the boats. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool version of a procession. Yeah. You're unique.
Each country then picks one person to be like the flag carrier, the flag bearer. Why do we have LeBron James do it? I mean, seriously.
I think that was unnecessary.
Really? I mean, we couldn't have come up with somebody with more character than him. This was, remember, during the George Floyd riots, the Black Lives Matter activism. This was a guy taking a knee with a fist in the air and his head down during the national anthem. But now he's Mr. Patriotic with the flag. Nobody thought that the hypocrisy was going to go unnoticed on that. That was just stupid by the United States Olympic Committee's decision.
And even beyond that, I don't like the idea of elevating people who've already got it all, basically. It's like when you've got, there are some people who are, this is their one Olympic Games that, you know, they've made it. They had a long road. They've been performing in obscurity basically forever. Yeah. And now they're on the big stage. Give them they probably got a great story. Just give them the flag. Let them be the leader of the procession.
Let someone like Quinn Buckner from the basketball world take the place of LeBron, because Quinn not only won the gold medal back in the 70s, but also won an NCAA championship, also won an Illinois State high school championship, one of the best players ever, played at Indiana University. Why not have someone like him be the representative instead of LeBron?
Because he played in Indiana. I grew up in Illinois. Okay, so
but he's from Illinois originally.
Oh, fair enough. Well,
then Chicago area.
Then he was a traitor. Yeah. But how about like there was that one gymnast who like broke his leg into all kinds of pieces like a year ago and worked his way back up to qualify for the Olympics.
That's a great story.
That's a good story.
Yes.
You know, you Simone Biles.
Yeah,
I mean, worldwide. You know, I mean, so there's that. Or you could have picked out anybody.
Yeah,
kinds of people. So there's that. But the fact is that instead of just being weird and artsy, France decided to virtue signal and put the whole drag crazy stuff in your face. And even on the parts that were really nice, those are overshadowed by the perversion.
Yes.
And they're acting like they actually, by the way, on their video library online, they pulled the opening down. It's not there anymore.
Oh, really?
So anything you see on social media right now is somebody else
they captured it,
who has already captured it. And the Olympic Committee and NBC are going after everybody trying to get those deleted as well.
I have seen that. Yeah.
Now they have been doing that for decades. NBC, when I used to work at an NBC station, we called them the Olympic Nazis, which I know we shouldn't after Munich and all that, but because they pay so much money for the rights to that, if they see you using it, they will go after you.
That's interesting,
it.
especially
that's
considering the
money.
fair use aspects of it. But
yeah, but on social media, most of it. Now, if we talked about or played some, that's news coverage. We're covered.
Sure.
But if you just put it up on yours, they will try to get it deleted.
Well, a
It's on
full
Facebook.
thing. Yeah, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they've actually pulled it down because it caused so much outrage that apparently they don't want the dude in the leotard and the beard who's sticking his butt up in the camera. Apparently they don't want that up there for everybody else to point out and go, see, you perverts.
They're not proud of that.
Yeah, apparently. I think they probably are. They just don't like the backlash.
Yeah, maybe that's part of the thing. They probably also don't want a certain guy's junk up on,
which actually
just out
happened
in front of everybody.
Yeah, because somebody did a screenshot, and when I say thank you, I mean this in the most sarcastic way possible. Thanks for putting that screenshot to where it showed up in my Twitter feed a bunch of times.
Seriously.
Literally, one of the guys was hanging out.
Yeah, he had really short shorts on.
And it was hiked up.
It was hiked up, so it wasn't completely covering him. I think they were ladies' shorts, so they weren't built for him. If you catch what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so that was gross.
Yeah,
like the rest of it. But there's no way that was accidental.
No, no, he knew what was happening.
Maybe he got it at Target for all we know.
Yeah, really.
A nice tuck outfit.
Well, but the thing is, if it was tuck friendly, at least it would have some place to go.
Yeah, that was
that's true. Instead of outside of the garment.
Tuck unfriendly there.
Yeah. Untuckable.
But when you
Target, I'm sorry, because it was in France.
Yeah. Oh yes,
But so I mean, am I losing sleep over it? No, but I think people have a absolute valid right to say that was disgusting.
Yeah, and I think on some level you kind of have a duty to say when society has gone too far on these things. We need, from a social standpoint, we need to be able to push back and say no, the line is back here. I don't want to see this. This is gross. I don't like it.
Will they learn their lesson? Probably not.
Nah, not yet.
News, analysis, opinion. I will never forget where I came from. Ladies and gentlemen, I came from Middletown, Ohio.
We are the most unified party.
Our president, Joe Biden, wanted to be here today. He is feeling much better. And
she is unfit and unqualified to be our president and commander-in-chief.
We've got to, again, change the culture of that organization to make sure that all of our protectees are actually, get this, protected.
101.9 and 94.1.
St. Louis is #1
for conservative talk.
News Talk STL and newstalkstl.com.
Nate Lucas here for the Village Bar in the heart of Des Peres. Since 1948, the Village Bar has been the go-to destination for delicious food, cold drinks, and unbeatable atmosphere. Savor their famous wings, burgers, and onion rings, or grab a drink from their fully stocked bar. Catch all the big games and enjoy the company of their friendly staff. Plus, don't miss the 1879 Distillery, a one-of-a-kind experience right next door. The Village Bar offers the best value in town. Find the Village Bar on Facebook and come experience where history meets great times. You'll be glad you did.
By now, you've heard Adam Schnelting's false attack ads. Don't buy his lies. Adam Schnelting says he opposes the transgender agenda, but he's trying to conceal the truth. Schnelting has received more than $71,000 from liberal trial lawyers. Those same trial lawyers supporting Schnelting also gave over $100,000 to a liberal group that supports men playing girls' sports, supports men using girls' bathrooms, and even supports gender mutilation surgeries for minors. To make matters worse, Adam Schnelting says he supports our gun rights, but he's received thousands from leading anti-gun lawyers that filed a massive lawsuit against gun makers and gun owners. But that's not all. These liberal lawyers don't just fund Adam Schnelting's campaign.